5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How about we do it again?
6, 7, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think I followed it.
Okay, let's try one more
I
time.
definitely
Ready?
Ranking review. Ranking review. Ranking review.
Say 6,
6,
5,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the 277th episode of Rank and Review. This is part 2 of the Steven Spielberg rank. We're going to finish ranking from the 17th to the 1st of the Spielberg films between Duel and the Fabelmans. And we are going to review Catch Me If You Can, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, as well as The Fabelmans, which is kind of the whole reason that we did this podcast. That movie kind of triggered something in my brain that made me want to talk about Spielberg. And oh boy, do we ever talk about Spielberg. And you probably have your own thoughts and your own ranks, and you can send that wisdom to ranknreview@gmail.com. That's ranknreview@gmail.com. Please do tell your friends about Rank and Review. There is a YouTube presence for Rank and Review. As of the time of me recording this, it's got like 20-some subscribers, so it could really use some love too. We got some isolated reviews there and all the podcasts that the YouTube algorithm has deigned not to pull off of there because I use trailer music or something. But most of the episodes are available on YouTube. All of the episodes are available on the site and most places that you find podcasts. Big thanks to Jason Dubray for helping with the ranks, and big thanks to Lee for joining us for the reviews. But let's let this thing spin on. Where are we going to rank? How's it going to play out? Welcome to Rank and Review. In 17th position at 81.3%, The Post. I put it in 18th position, close enough, at 80%. You also put it in 18th position at 88%. Critics have it in 20th position with 76%. So let's just say we're all agreed.
We're very oddly.
That said, I mean, when you get Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, history, like you feel this is going to sweep the Oscars, right? It's not going to sweep the Oscars, but it's a absolutely solid as a rock movie. I guess, at the risk of sounding a little bit critical, I don't think it stands out in his resume. Mm-hmm. It's not one that's like, yeah, The Post, right? Fuck yeah, The Post. Right? Like, it is absolutely rock solid, and the acting is absolutely rock solid, and it's an interesting story, well told, and I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. I know, and I mean, I'm a big fan of All the President's Men and like this whole Nixon era and the Washington Post. But again, this is another political film for him because the Trump and the attacks on the mainstream media and the importance of a newspaper and a newspaper being able to truthfully and honestly report things and expose corruption when corruption is happening. And all of the other people who own it and all of the other factors. And let's go back in time, look at this particular moment for the Washington Post. I thought it was fascinating, the business of creating everyday news. Like, this is the most dramatic moment for this newspaper. Meryl Streep, again, this is one of her 2 billion Oscar nominations, and it's rightly so. It's another underrated Spielberg film that got a Best Picture nomination. Well, but it's not. It's not going to be one of his flashy ones, and this is one I was fully prepared for to slip down to somewhere in the middle. Right. And then at the end, I just felt something about, yay, media and press, like, speaking truth to power. All of it worked, and the details of it worked really well for me. I remember one thing that bothered me when I first saw it in theaters. It sort of bothered me, but not as much this time, is the commitment to, I think there's a real commitment to make it a PG-13 movie as opposed to an R film. So they were... the chants that the protesters had were not the chants that you would have actually heard. There was something to avoid saying the F word.
Heck, no, we won't go.
Yeah, or it was something. It was something like that, which felt like it was a TV for TV edit.
Right.
Which again just felt like why is he not being more truthful with this? Like, as he does in other films.
He's traditionally so authentic when it comes to
history. But that's a minor quibble. And Bob Odenkirk had a great supporting performance in there. Like, this guy is
I really feel like
so good.
It could easily be dismissed as just this year's Oscar consideration Spielberg movie. But it is pretty solid. It is pretty solid. In 16th position, another film that we are going to be discussing, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, at a surprisingly high 82.6%. I have it in 17th position at 80%. You have it in 13th at 92%. And the critics put it in 19th position at 76.5%. Temple of Doom is sort of the ultimate 80s sequel movie, in that it does everything that a lot of, like, quote, air quote, bad 80s sequels do. They go way darker and weirder than the original, and, like, just take random risks. It's almost like they know people will show up for the sequel, so fuck it, we'll do whatever we want. It's lower down in my tier of the Indiana Jones movies for me because of Willie. Mm-hmm. I find her character always the criticism. Really, really, really difficult. And even Short Round, I think it's a great performance, but it's just strange that he's hanging out with this little kid and it's not really explained. It's like his ward. He's like grooming a Robin type figure to be his sidekick. I don't know. The movie is goofy and dark and way too violent and way too hard for kids, and because of that, I fucking loved it as a kid.
Yes, yes.
This is a movie where a guy gets his heart ripped out of his chest, and it's supposedly PG. And the level of crazy, the level of violence, and let's be real, the level of racism is pretty high in this movie.
Oh, heavy. Yes, I know. It's problematic.
A throwback to like those jungle adventures from the 30s and 40s where people didn't give a shit about the cultural portrayal of people, but this is a kids movie about child slavery and possession, and it's too fucked up. And again, as a kid, I loved it and I appreciated it, but like, this was over the line, you guys. This is a crazy, crazy, crazy movie. And yeah, that scored points for me. But I kind of expected it would lose points for other people. Like I say, at 82.6% as an average, that surprises me. It's not that I don't really enjoy the movie. It's just that I'm surprised at that grade.
In this 92%, we'll talk about in the review. I love it. Mm-hmm. And I know the criticisms, and some of them I'll concede, some of them I don't care. Yeah. And again, right time of life to watch it, I guess.
Fair enough.
The villager's sacred rock was taken.
Village stories, Dr. Jones.
Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
No, do you?
So we're going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But before we talk about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I want to do a little bit of lip service to Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. There's a sequence early in that movie which everybody calls bullshit on. The nuke the fridge scene, we're all in the same place, where everyone's like, that's way too ludicrous. This is too stupid for Indiana Jones. I've always had a bit of a problem with that argument. I think, like, if it was just that scene and not Shia LaBeouf playing Tarzan and the CGI monkeys and the CGI ants, like, if it was just the nuke the fridge, I would say everybody needs to have another look at Temple of Doom. Because Indiana Jones jumping out of an airplane, inflating a boat, landing on a mountain, falling off of a waterfall into a tropical climate and a river, and all of them being completely unscathed, fucking ludicrous doesn't say it. Nuke the fridge makes way much more sense than that. Like, I'm not here to defend Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I'm not here to defend Crystal Skull. I'm just saying Temple of Doom is at least as
But
ludicrous.
which one was more fun?
But Temple of Doom is 10 times the movie that Crystal Skull is. This was not me being critical of Temple of Doom. I hope that didn't come across that way. I've just always thought that was a ludicrous sequence. Even as a child, I thought that was a ludicrous sequence. And it is. And the movie, you know what, you guys, is full of ludicrous sequences. I pointed out when we talked about it in the rank that it's pretty openly racist. And that the supporting characters, particularly Willie, really feel like nails down a chalkboard to me. But in spite of all of this, the raw, thrilling, over-the-top entertainment and Spielberg's absolute not giving a fuck about traumatizing the young audience that he's making this movie for. A dude gets his still-beating heart ripped out of his chest. The main plot is rescuing enslaved and in some cases possessed children from a demonic cult. Like, what in the fuck are you guys doing? Like, the amount of cocaine in the writing room must have been insurmountable. That said, as a kid and as an adult, I full on love this movie. It is out of its goddamn mind. It's one of these 80s sequels that is just so ludicrous you can't believe it got made, but you're so grateful that it got made. And I guess, truth be told, it's technically not a sequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark. It is a prequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark. And yeah, it takes place in India. Well, I mean, it doesn't start in India, but let's focus on the main thrust of the plot. Indiana Jones meets a tribe that's had all of its children stolen from them, and on top of that, all their crops are dying, their entire culture is withering away, and he needs to rescue the children and these sacred Shankara stones, I hope that's right, in order to save the children's lives and bring life back to the good tribe of Indians. I'm sorry to be so dismissive about my terminology, but it is that kind of movie. It's like
the poor villagers versus the
savage,
whatever. The rich, the temple that has all of the money and
and I think it is the same way Spielberg is able to have cartoon Nazis in his Indiana Jones movies, but can do the serious, war movie as well. I don't think we're being asked to take this seriously. Like, I really genuinely don't. That probably doesn't make it better for anybody from India. But, like, I don't think that the movie was mean-spirited at its heart. It was trying to make an adventure movie, and the bad guys wore black hats, and the white guys wore white hats, and there it was. The stuff that doesn't work, like I say, is Willie and some of the comedy. And the, ew, Indy, this is disgusting. And pouring perfume on the elephant. And just like, we had Marion in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I know.
Marion was an amazing character that they were never able to match. They kind of treated it like a Bond girl where they had to have a different girl for Indy.
It's interesting that you say Bond girl because I'm going to be mentioning James Bond later.
Yeah. Well, I just, like, it was such a step down in side characters. But I also want to qualify my words by saying, like, I was maybe 11 or something when I saw this movie, maybe even younger. I'm trying to remember the timeline. And It was so dark and so hard and so much crazier than Raiders of the Lost Ark, which wasn't tame.
No, it wasn't. No.
But this went up several notches. I've always loved the movie. I will always love the movie. Do I see the problems? I see the problems. I love this movie. Mr. Dubray, how do you feel about
It ranked very high, you know. I saved my venom for one particular chapter of Indiana Jones, and I'm consistent on that one. Yeah, I get it. If we're looking at this from a 2025 lens, yeah, there are problems. It would not be made this way. No, I don't think Spielberg would make a movie like this. As I said, he's really watered down his family entertainment since then. But you got to admire it. And I don't know, I remember having a picture book, and there's like those key scenes, and like through the air, and the and inflating the boat, and all, like each of those things is just etched in my memory, and I love returning to this movie time and time again. I don't think like all the Willie stuff bothered me when I was younger either. I was just like, okay, like she's this, you know, very privileged, entitled, spoiled brat of a character who's having to go through Indiana Jones world with the bugs and all of those pieces there too. And she, in a way, it's a, you know, yeah, there are some racist depictions in the film, but it also kind of shows, if you take a tour of India and you have some rich Americans show up, guaranteed there's going to be somebody who is going to be exactly like Willie going through that.
Right.
That doesn't mean that it's something that you want to like spend as your like number 2 on the call sheet for the film. And it's interesting they ended up together, like, you know, this was his second marriage, like with Spielberg, like this is his, you know, longtime wife, but because of this one, the events happened before, so I guess this was one he was in this, you know, with Marion, this off period where he had his fling, and then they come back together in Raiders.
Indiana Jones lore, she was underage when they hooked up, by the way.
Yeah.
It was a different time. It was a different.
Oh, everything was. You could. I mean, the entire series. You can poke as many holes into it as you want here.
You're right. Though,
I much
as
prefer
a kid,
this.
I don't think I clocked Willie as much, but I bet you I clocked that Marion was better.
Oh, yes.
Like, she would outdrink Indiana Jones, and she would actually punch a dude. You know, she wouldn't just be like, Indy, save me.
Yeah, this is much more of a princess.
Marion is Indy's equal.
Yeah.
Where Willie is the damsel in distress. That's the greatest flaw for me with Temple of Doom. But here's the question that I think the filmmakers, you know, had to try and answer. How do you make a sequel to arguably one of the best, if not the best, action films of all time? How do you do that?
Make it totally different. Yeah, make it totally different.
Intuitively, you would think, let's change as little as possible, and they did not do that.
No. But then other ones did.
Smart that they didn't, though. This feels a lot more like a James Bond movie, where like Raiders, it was through a whole bunch of countries. I mean, yes, Temple of Doom, it has Shanghai, but most of it takes place in India, and then in that palace. I mean, we go underneath in those caves and the mines and everything. But if you look at it, a lot of James Bond films, you know, James eventually ends up in the villain's lair, whether it's Dr. No, For Your Eyes Only. So it has that familiar story structure. It feels different. And the fact that it works for the most part is great. And I know that George Lucas was going through a divorce, and Spielberg was probably, you know, had gone through a divorce at this point. And it's not Kate Capshell's fault. It's how the character is written.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's how it's written. Indy!
How'd you play that? Yeah. How else?
It's on the page. Agreed.
It's how it's written. Go from like Marion, who is totally Indy's equal, to where he is constantly rescuing her. It's hard to watch, and it's also like her voice. It's, you know, the whole screaming thing. It's like it's so night and day, and that is Temple of Doom's greatest flaw. We have this and Gremlins to thank for the creation of the PG-13 rating.
Yeah,
And
which was
Poltergeist.
needed.
Yes,
Poltergeist
this movie
too, I
is
think.
dark.
Yeah, but the PG-13 rating was required, and arguably this is an R-rated movie. I'm sorry.
It could be, yeah.
There is sheets of of flayed flesh in the background of shots.
Yeah.
Like I say, the heart being pulled out.
Impressive production design, though. I mean, wow.
The whole feast that they have, like the chilled monkey
and that's
brains.
straight out of James Bond too.
Yeah,
because the villain always makes a gorgeous meal for James Bond before he ends up trying killing him. Because it does. It feels very much like a.
I take issue with you calling that a gorgeous meal. I take strong issue with you calling that a gorgeous meal. What, the pregnant snake that they slit open and eat the babies out of it, or the bugs, or the eyeball soup?
Everybody has their own palates, I guess.
Hey, if it feels good, do it.
But Spielberg really wanted to make a James Bond movie, no doubt. In Catch Me If You Can, of course, there is references to James Bond, and that supposedly, Frank started calling himself, Mr. Fleming or whatever.
Well,
but
now that James Bond's rights are no longer involved with the family, he may yet end up
it might still happen. The other thing I think about
what's his name? Jeff Bezos. No, not Bezos. The guy who owns Amazon.
Bezos.
It is Bezos. Yeah, Bezos owns Bond now.
But that's what I'm saying. So Spielberg might get his chance now.
Might happen still. I feel like because of the chronology of this, that Raiders happens afterwards, that it could be he's supposed to be this much of a younger man, and then maybe he puts up with that princess type of a thing. But then, I mean, we don't see Short Rod, we don't see them after this. We never know what happened to those characters in between. That he's had enough of that type of a personality, and he is is romantically interested in somebody who has a little bit more less of a rescue me type of a thing that he can go through and do his thing with. But yeah, I think if this is the second one, I don't think they knew that they were going to be making 5 of these, and so there's a couple bumps and grinds, but I don't particularly care because there's like the action sequence, the roller coaster effect that happens when they're trying to
minecarts.
Those minecarts, and they're trying to save the kids, and the scene on the rope bridge is outstanding. Like that's one of the ballsiest things I ever saw a protagonist do at that age. I was just like, I want to be Indiana Jones when I grow up. I came nowhere near that. But
Indiana Jones cutting the rope bridge is the most quintessential Indiana Jones moment in the entire franchise.
Yes.
I will put it up over anything that happens.
The boulder,
then here's my bold statement, because I will put Raiders overall above this movie, but we've got that classic car chase sequence in Raiders where Indy's going over the car, under the car.
Yeah.
That's considered one of the great stunt sequences ever filmed.
Mm-hmm.
But that mine sequence, the railway sequence, Bella. The bridge sequence, prepare to meet Kali in hell. We're going for a ride, lady. Damn!
Just the badassery of that.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
He just tells Short Round what's going to happen, and you intuit through their conversation what's about to happen, and you're like, no way. No way.
Yeah.
No fucking way.
And he... The beats, like the quiet there too, like
nothing else they can do, because like Indy's cornered, they're screwed. Oh wait a second, there is something. They're just gonna go for a ride.
Yeah, amazing.
Here's something that I kind of the first 3 Indiana Jones, we agree, are superior to the last 2. Yes,
of course.
I love Dial of Destiny. I like it more than most people.
Here's something that I figured out about Indiana Jones, because it's an iconic character, but he doesn't work without great supporting characters to bounce off. Once again, Raiders has Salah and also Marion in Raiders. Temple of Doom has Short Round. Like all the best scenes with Jones really is with Short Round. And then in the third one, we've got Indy's father with Sean Connery. You surround Indy with great supporting characters, and that character shines. Because in the other ones, he doesn't really have it. Like I'm trying to think, like you've got
Shia LaBeouf in Crystal Skull, and what's her name? What's the actress's name?
Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who I would argue is very good in Dial of Destiny. So I don't know.
She's okay, but
more than okay.
Out.
No, I think she could. if the movie had been more successful, she could have been the lead in what they were trying to do with River Phoenix, I think, with the third one.
Well, yeah, they were trying to hope maybe that if the film was huge, that she could probably take it over. But I don't know. Like, I mean, she was fine. I didn't dislike her, but she didn't pop like Short Round. She didn't pop like Salah. She didn't pop like Marion. She was just okay, and it felt...
I disagree, but that's a different movie.
Let's try and get back to Temple of Doom if you guys can.
But yeah, that was the one thing I kind of discovered, was that Indy really shines when he's got great characters to bounce off of.
Yeah.
And that's what I think part of what makes him worth, because Short Round is so good.
But it's a strange character.
It is. Where did this kid come from?
Where did he come from? Where did he go? What was the point, Cotton Eye Joe? Like, there's no good reason for them to be hanging out together unless they're a couple, or he's a ward of some sort, or like Indy's buddy was his dad and his buddy died, but we don't get that story.
No.
And
there's no time for that because it's so rushed at the beginning.
And I'm not saying we needed to stop to give us that story, but this is the only time we get Short Round, and he's just like a child sidekick. And people don't have child sidekicks unless they're your kid. Like, there's...
Well, again, this was the 80s, not...
There is that whole father-son thing going on.
Yeah, there is.
As a kid, I love Short Round, and I still love Short Round. I just like... The fact that it's unexplained is strange.
There's an argument made that Short Round should have been in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull instead of Shia LaBeouf.
Right.
And that's like...
And that would make so much more sense.
But then where is he during the Raiders movie? Where is he during Last Crusade?
In school
he
or something.
caught him trying to steal from Indy, and that's how that whole relationship started. But he realized that he was a poor kid, and so Jones becomes this father figure to him.
And decides the best way to be a father figure is to constantly put him in mortal danger. Anyway, the less you think about it...
Well, good father figure.
The less said about it, the better. But I do think the actor did a great job. I loved him in Goonies. I loved him here, and he's had a great late-stage resurgence.
He has one more Academy Award than Harrison Ford,
That's
so
right.
I don't know.
So,
Ku Hui Kwan, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Yeah. That's the actor's name.
And he does, like, when Indy goes evil, talking about how crazy this movie is,
I know.
He's fed the blood of Kali, and he becomes possessed, and he, like, starts laying a beating on Short Round. It's fucking traumatizing.
It's terrible.
And, Indy, I love you. It's just incredible. Wow. These are choices.
Good for you, movie.
No, Temple Dune's got big brass balls.
And then he burns him, and that's what brings him out of it. I mean, yeah.
And he apologizes, and it's a really sweet moment. It's one of the reasons why you kind of want more Short Round, because they kind of earned that relationship by the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. They didn't really explain it, but they kind of earned it, I guess.
I mean, this has the least sentimentality of
almost
except for Munich, maybe even though that has a couple like odd beats there. Other than the last scene is very, but they probably earned it by that point. The scene in the village towards the end. Yeah, I'll defend this movie, I'm sure, for the rest of my life. But
I have not a lot bad to say. Like, again, I've made a few joking hits against it, but I love this movie. Yeah. Like, I just love the movie. I've always loved the movie, so I don't expect that to change. And I wonder if, again, like I said when we talked about E.T., if you didn't grow up with it, if you would make as many excuses as we clearly are.
Oh, we're making excuses. What did you think of, like, the low-key MVP of the movie, Dan Aykroyd, with his British accent?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, people forget about that.
I just think Dan Aykroyd wanted to be in a Spielberg movie that wasn't 1941.
Yes, they were buddies, apparently.
Yeah.
And I can see that they both have a similar type of approach. That, more is more.
Spielberg phones you up, hey, do you want to have, like, 2 lines in a Jones movie? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is there anything else we want to say about India? It's been pretty.
Yeah, it's a bona fide classic. I guess it's a problematic 80s classic, but I don't. Well, I
would say the action sequences either rival or are better than in Raiders. That's my bold statement, because like they are outstanding.
They are. Yeah.
I love that opening sequence. It's ludicrous. It's ridiculous. Yes, I'm glad that you brought up, Nuke the Fridge and how ridiculous it is. I love the Nuke the Fridge sequence. That other movie has problems, but yes, it's ridiculous that they fly out of a dinghy, they pull the cord, it inflates, and then they land on the snow. And
right at the base of that village, too.
I never do this, but the answer is just don't think about it, you guys.
yeah.
Just embrace it.
Good enough, I think. In 15th place, The Color Purple with an 86% on the nose. I have it in 19th position with 80%. You have it in 8th position at 97%, so that's a pretty significant difference.
Yes.
The critics have it at 13 with 81.25%, and my problem is that I read the book.
Yeah.
It's a really well done movie, and it introduced the world to Whoopi Goldberg. And it's absolutely frank and honest about abuse, about psychological cruelty, incestuous cruelty, and it completely chickens out when it comes to homosexuality. And it's unfortunate because they're so frank and honest and upfront about everything else. But I think it's an crucial, important thing about the main fucking character of the movie that they almost entirely ignored. And it's interesting, like, why did Spielberg make this movie? Because he had recently made E.T., and the people that wanted this movie made wanted the best filmmaker in the world to adapt the book. And they're so close, like, and it was lauded and it got all the praise that it should, but simply because it was the 80s, and we couldn't say lesbian without the movie just becoming a fucking controversy, an essential, important ingredient was lost. And that took some points away from me.
Yeah, it was inferred, it was suggested, but it was not shown.
There's one scene.
And I know the scene you're talking about. Yeah, this one was one I thought I had watched it before. I thought it might be homework. And
it's a brutal movie.
It's a brutal movie, and that's what I seem to be giving more points to these ones where it's so brutal, and we're seeing less sentimentality from him.
Granted.
And it jumped way up. For years I've been saying this was the best movie of 1985. No disrespect to Out of Africa, but this is the movie that should have won everything. It was nominated for 12 Academy Awards. Spielberg was left off the Best Director, and I don't know if it's because it was a white man directing an African American story. I'm not sure they were thinking that way at the time.
Like I said, they wanted the best director they could get.
Whoopi Goldberg should have won Best Actress.
Yes.
And it should have won in a whole number of categories. And I think there's still a fair amount of racism in that particular time with the Academy and the surviving members of the Academy that it went to a different film. And not a bad film. Again, these ones where something got snubbed. I don't hate Dances with Wolves. I don't hate Ordinary People, ones that won when there's probably another movie that should have won. But
hate's a strong word, but yeah.
Yeah, or you know, I use the word hate on this podcast when I get caffeinated the way that you caffeinate me, but that's
we're out of coffee, you're cut off.
Yeah, but it's so moving. The performances are great. Everything about it, it doesn't look like a Steven Spielberg film. Yet he treats the material so well. You are right. It holds back because of the middle of the 1980s, which I think is a very conservative and oppressive time, and there have been many of those oppressive times in our history. So he got as far as he could, but he couldn't go that far. I saw the remake, which was more based on there's a stage musical version of The Color Purple. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of criticisms for that one. I was like, this is not as good as the 1985 one. I stick by that, even though they could go into that territory that the Spielberg couldn't
Abusive cruelty and racism and incest is just a weird fucking subject for a musical, if you ask me. But that's just me.
I don't know. I haven't seen the stage version, so I can't comment on it. I know it ironically won all of the awards that the film should have, but I just have to say, like, yeah, this has turned into one of my favorite Spielberg films and one of my favorite of his serious half of his career. Yeah. And I'm glad he took this project on in the middle of the 80s. It would have been easier to just sign on to another popcorn film, and he didn't. He continually challenges himself, and this is one of those ones where I think it was good to step back from the popcorn and the special effects movies.
He was hired because he was the most popular and capable director around right there, but as it turns out, I think he was the right man for the job
at the time. Yeah, I can think of other people who are a bit younger than he is to if it had been 10 years later, 1995, give it to John Singleton or Spike Lee or like somebody like that. But I think this was the right call, that Spielberg was the guy for the job at that time.
Cracking into the top 14 at 87.3%. Bridge of Spies, written by the Coen brothers, which gives it a leg up for me.
Yes.
I put it in 9th position at 90%. You put it in 15th position at 90%. The critics put it in 12th position at 81.75%. One of the more recent numbers, and Mark Rylance?
He's so good.
He's amazing in this movie. He's
perfect. Really
amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, he was really good in Dunkirk, and I thought he was really good in BFG. The problems with that movie weren't really him.
No, it wasn't his fault. No.
This movie, he is outright amazing, and like, he's working against Tom Hanks, and it's not even close.
No, it
it's
isn't.
Not even close.
And Hanks isn't bad.
No,
like,
not at all.
Like, when I saw it this time, I thought, yeah, he's given a good performance. He's not being too Tom Hanksy with what he's doing, but yes, no, there's a difference.
It's a suspenseful history lesson, but it is also weirdly kind of fun. It's got a little bit of energy and bounce to it. It's not the stone cold sort of delivery that a lot of his historical wartime movies are. It's still living in a functioning kind of world where we're in civilization, and the movie reflects that. And it's weird how much we come to, quote, empathize with the enemy here. And it's really well done. And it's hard to really, like, blow up the really authentically strong beats of the movie. This is what really makes this movie work. I just think that the package is solid. And a lot of positive notes, no negative.
The first 15 minutes of this movie are
riveting.
Almost perfect filmmaking. And I think I maybe dismissed some of the middle stuff from the first time I saw it, because with Mark Rylance, and one of the great stage actors in the UK, because his character isn't in certain sections of the middle part of the film, and then comes back, and every time he's on screen, like we're in an A++ film.
Yeah.
But this time around, I enjoyed every single aspect of it. And this just is a solid film. I feel like it should be thought of as one of the great Spielberg films. Yeah, it ended up, like, I wasn't sure where it would place for other people, but I have it at 15, and I actually have it probably ranked the worst of anybody.
Yeah, you ranked it the lowest.
Yeah, but I gave it 90% because I think it's great, but it's just the strength of this filmography is... Doing a rank like this, you realize how great it is. So I'm not apologizing for this, but I just think, like, when we're going from once we get to, like, his top 19 for sure, if not top 20, are great films. I mean, not just good films, great films. Good films are in the lower half of this list, and so Bridge of Spies again would be the achievement of a lifetime for
any other filmmaker.
Somebody else, and it's just another one of those great Spielberg movies that we're talking about.
Well, it squeaked into the top 10 for me, but only just. And I love that movie, so I think that says something. Unlucky 13. This is an interesting one for me. Catch Me If You Can at 87.5%. I put it in 10th place with 88%. You put it in 19th place with 87%. The critics put it in 4th place with 87.5%. That surprises me that way. I talked about way back when, several hours ago, we were talking about The Terminal, right? There's the movie that there's the historical epics, and then there's the entertainments, and The Terminal was in the middle. As it turns out, so is Catch Me If You Can. I have a whole collection of Spielberg movies called Spielberg History Lessons, and I included Catch Me If You Can in that. Subsequent to this, of course, turns out the subject of the film, it has been found out, was actually in prison during a large portion of all of the events that were supposed to be depicted in this film. But if you've watched the film, that is also fucking perfect, right? He's a con man. Everything about his life is being a con man. Everything about the story that he told about his life was a con because he was a fucking con man. And since he is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, still young and full of piss and vinegar, doing that constant thing where he's the smartest guy in the room and gets to yell at everyone, the role that he is fucking obsessed with playing, and really the same way Mel Gibson needs to stop playing people on a righteous mission of revenge, he just needs to stop. But he's the right guy for the part in this movie because he's doing crime after crime, and we just can't help but cheer for him. And Tom Hanks is doing everything right, but we kind of don't want him to win. Yeah. And the movie plays with our emotions this way. And she'd been in other movies, but this movie largely introduced the world to Amy Adams. And it's charming. It puts a smile on your face, and it keeps it there. It is not a true story. Just shake that free. File it under another one of Spielberg's fantasies and enjoy the ride, and you will. 4th place is way too high.
And it's not his 4th best movie at all. But the thing that some people kind of forget is, like, DiCaprio had Titanic, and then Titanic was such a big, it was almost like a burden for him.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden he became this huge movie star, and he'd shown that he could act in some stuff before. But this was the year that he started to work with the best directors ever. This is the same time frame that Gangs of New York came out. The problem for him in Gangs of New York,
overrated.
It's not one of my favorite Scorsese films, but Daniel Day-Lewis just circled around him. I've watched things and I was like, okay, I can see he's a young guy and there's some things he's doing which are the right things in that movie, but this role allowed him to do a lot more things that were in DiCaprio's strong area. I don't think I was completely sold on DiCaprio until probably The Aviator a few years after this. But the energy and the drive and everything that he has in this role, in comparison to he seemed like a little bit bland sauce in Gangs of New York, told me, okay, he still has that chance. Like, he's a movie star, but he's also an actor,
and he's playing off of Christopher Walken and Martin Sheen.
And then Christopher Walken.
Awesome.
He nearly won, and he should have been more so than we've talked about Chris Cooper in adaptation. But I think he was pretty close to winning another Oscar for this. This is he doesn't have a ton of screen time, but man, we just talked about Mark Rylance. Same sort of thing. When Walken's in there, just everything he is doing is so interesting and so perfect. But him and DiCaprio, those performances are what stuck with me. Hanks is fine. Again, he's fine doing what he's doing.
He's doing the job.
For sure, he's doing the job, but just a lot more. It's another one where we're kind of cheering for the criminal more than the cop in there. I
thought that it was an anti-Christopher Walken role in a lot of ways, because usually he's really cool or really sinister or really sinister and cool. And he's kind of pathetic.
He is.
In this movie.
Which is
all he has is like living vicariously through his son. Mm-hmm. And his son, if we're honest, is kind of a piece of shit. And that's a charming piece of shit.
And that's the tragedy of it.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like there's this whole other movie about Walken's character that would have been an even better movie. But this is good. But again, it's the middle of the road. It's not the 4th best Spielberg movie. No.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Yeah, that really...
In 12th position, we're closing in on this, man. Duel in 12th position. Again, that's kind of surprised me. 87.5%. I put it in 14th place, which I thought was pretty high, but you put it in 10th place, which is even higher with 96%.
Correct.
The critics also have it in 14 with 81%, which is irritatingly agreeing with me. I keep on lining up with the critics. I don't know how to feel about it.
Well, you've been a critic for 12 seasons.
Yeah.
Or no. 12 seasons, yeah.
So I'm a big fan of Richard Matheson, and I am familiar with the source material.
Yeah.
And so, like, I come in already a fan. But considering this was made for television, and it was so successful and so well lauded and so cinematic that they actually put it up on the big screen, you get it when you watch it. And sort of like Sugarland Express, when you press play on it, you're kind of not expecting that much of it. So when it turns out to actually make you eat your hand with tension while you're watching it, it's kind of surprising. It was to me anyway. Like, it still holds up. It's rock solid. Just this guy trying to get home and getting messed with by this trucker for some reason. And it's really well done. He said that built into it was the template for Jaws. Like, Jaws,
Yes.
on his brain was almost like a remake of Duel. Not that Duel needed to be remade, but I really like it. And it kind of announces right away, like, yeah, this guy who's directed a couple episodes of Night Gallery in Colombo, no, he is a legit filmmaker.
Yes. He got his TV movie of the week, and he took
Nailed
that
it.
opportunity and nailed it. I remember just developing as a movie fan and working at Rainbow Cinemas, and somebody on staff there said, you need to check out Duel, this, early Spielberg film, and I found it somewhere, or somebody lent it to me. And I thought what was great about it, and still to this day was great about it, is that there is no motivation for the villain of this piece. And we think we see, but we never do see the villain. And there's just something that's way creepier about that than a standard horror movie or thriller, where we would have some big speech, or and I love the paranoia in the scene where he's looking around to see who he thinks might be the driver of this car, of this vehicle that's torturing him. I reviewed one of my first 2 or 3 episodes. I did this one on cars or vehicles in this episode, and I said in there, and this is where I think like you and Lee would be very mad at me about this, that I prefer Duel over Jaws, and because it scares me way more than Jaws does, just because we know what the villain of Jaws is, and it kind of wraps up in a different way in that film. Here, like, that driver could still be out. Yeah, I mean, like, we know that there's no chance of that anymore, but just like, why did this happen? And
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're wrong about Jaws. I think that goes without saying, but
I'm wrong about Jaws. Yeah,
but
everybody in the world would say I'm wrong about it. But I love Duel. That's the main point. Yeah,
fair enough. And like, for it to be this early in his career, and for it to be this strong, and for it to still stay this high on the list, pretty much across the board. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what can be said. 10th to 14th. Again, that's not a huge gap. It's not a huge gap between the two of them. But
no.
Welcome to Miami Mutual Bank. How may I help you?
I'd like to cash this check here, and I'd like to take you out for a steak dinner.
Are you a real-life pilot?
I sure am, little lady.
The jump seat is open.
It's been a while since I've done this. Which one's the jump seat again?
Dr. Connors to the ER. Dr. Connors to the ER.
This is irrefutable evidence that the defendant is lying.
Special Agent Hanratty, FBI.
Hello, Carl.
You're gonna get caught. It's like Vegas. The house always wins.
Some nuts flying around the country posing as a pilot. Call him the James Bond of the sky.
Hello, Pusher. This is by far the best date I have ever been on.
He's a kid. That's why he doesn't have a record.
30 milligrams of codeine every 4 hours. Do you concur?
I concur.
Dr. Harris.
Yes?
Do you concur?
Concur with what, sir? Ma'am, I'm sorry to have to tell you, your son is forging checks.
I have a payroll check here I'd like to cash.
I'm working part-time at the church now. Just tell me how much yours and I'll pay you back.
$1.3 million.
So, Catch Me If You Can, at the time it came out, had the two biggest stars in Hollywood. Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks were pretty much as big as they were going to be, right? When we talked about the ranks, Jason and I both were kind of shocked at how high the critics rated this movie. The critics put Catch Me If You Can in 4th place in Spielberg's career out of the 34 movies that we ranked. And I'm sitting here...
Wrong, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sitting here as a huge fan of Catch Me If You Can, and I am saying that is way too high. Like, significantly too high. It's not a bad movie, but I think in a weird way, the revelations that's come out about this character subsequently have made it a kind of more interesting and funny movie.
Okay, so what I know, I did a little bit of research on him. What have I missed?
Well, a large portion of the movie, which he is pretending to be, faking to be an airline pilot and getting engaged with this woman, in actuality, he was in prison that whole time. So
It's a big chunk of the movie.
It's a huge chunk of the movie. Objectively, just didn't happen. But what do we know about the Leonardo DiCaprio character? He's a con artist. He lies. He's full of shit. And the fact that, like, that was so true of the character that the movie that they made about him still played back those lies. Like, it could be a fucking Charlie Kaufman screenplay almost at this point, right? Like, it's kind of deliciously, accidentally meta. The accomplishment of the Leonardo DiCaprio performance is that he makes us like and cheer for him, despite the fact that he is a terrible human being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He just is awful. And doesn't care how sweet he is to the girls. It doesn't care how, like, charming and personable he is. He lies, he uses, he deceives, he steals. He's a terrible fucking person. But he's super attractive and he's got real gumption and he's absolutely fearless. And you end up cheering for him and cheering against Tom Hanks. When did we cheer against Tom Hanks? Even in Road to Perdition, we didn't cheer against Tom Hanks. Like,
we cheered against Paul Newman.
That's right. Over Tom Hanks. So the fact that they made us want this absolutely noble, altruistic character to fail, I think is an accomplishment of the movie. I also will say that this type of character, this alpha male, in control, never steps wrong, constantly yelling at people character, is something that DiCaprio needs to retire from his career. I've just seen it again and again and again. I think this might be the best example of it.
This was an early example, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't
there yet.
He was a big movie star because of Titanic, but this wasn't like.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But like, he's this character I've seen a lot subsequently.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the FBI is trying to find this con artist who is able to pose as doctors and as pilots and build people out of money and then vanish and start again somewhere else. And it's a quite involved sort of, we got to get this dude. But because we're grounded in Leonardo DiCaprio's sort of world and we see the broken family that he comes from, and, you know, we're hitting the broken family because that's Spielberg's bread and butter. We do cheer for him, even though we really should not. Objectively, we just shouldn't, but they pull it off. It's one of the funnier Steven Spielberg movies, and I think that, like we talked about during the ranks, that might be a weakness for Spielberg, comedy as a genre. Typically, he can have comedy beats in his movies, but I don't think a front-to-back comedy is in his comfort zone at all. But this comes pretty close at times. And what I like about it, and what I've said maybe too much on my podcast, is it's one of these movies that puts a smile on your face and it keeps it there for the whole running time. It's just engaging and fun to watch. The 2 hours and 10 minutes or whatever it is just blows by. There's nothing to wrestle over. There's nothing to choke on. If you want to fight about what's true and what isn't anymore, like, I think that only adds to the sort of fun vibe of the movie. So I think it's really good. I think it's well cast and I think it's well executed. But it's closer to the middle of Spielberg's category. Like, when I saw the critics placing it in 4th place, I really thought, is my math wrong? What happened? So I am an enthusiastic supporter of Catch Me If You Can, but apparently in a lot of circles that's just not enough. What do you think, Mr. Beckmann?
Well, I agree with you. The sort of Frank Capra-esque sort of treatment of the Frank Abagnale character, that was something that I really struggled with because he ruins a lot of people's lives.
Yep.
I think
we don't see it.
Amy Adams' character,
yeah.
that, he marries and beds, and she's left looking for him at an airport. He ruined her life for a good portion of it. Forget all the financial problems that he caused for a lot of people. That was the main thing I took away was this character is not a good character. And should we be telling this story somewhat? I mean, this is a movie about fathers and the importance of them. Christopher Walken is awesome in this movie.
Yep.
He steals the movie, basically, but he's a con artist, and that's where Frank gets his sort of con man persona from. You get the impression that, the wife character, the mother, she's kind of put to the side and seen as this sort of money-grubbing character, and I don't think that's fair. Also, the dad never really chastises Frank. There's that scene where it's either in the bar or a restaurant where, he tries to give him that watch as a present, and the dad goes, "Where are you going to be tonight, Frank? Who are you going to be?" He never sits him down and says, "Stop what you're doing. What you're doing is wrong. You're hurting people." It's almost like he understands him and almost encourages him.
He admires him.
He gets to finger wave is, "Where are you going to be tonight, Frank?" And I think at that point, I'm like, I feel so sad for both of them because Walken, the dad, is kind of destroyed at that point. We learned that he trips and he falls and he dies. We don't see it. We're just told about it. And the Tom Hanks character is not a good father. All he knows is how to be an FBI agent, but he acknowledges that, saying, I'm not a good family man. And so, to me, I walk out of two things with this movie is, A, how sugar-coated this whole story is about an awful character, but just also the importance of positive father role figures in people's lives, because if you don't, you kind of end up like Frank.
Well, I kind of read that relationship as Christopher Walken felt that he failed at life when he failed his marriage. And that basically he'd given up. He was just living vicariously through his son.
Yes, absolutely.
And he knows his son is a con artist, but he allows the lie. He believes the lie because he wants to believe the lie that his son is this successful so-and-so. But I feel like the worst confrontation is strangely between DiCaprio and Tom Hanks at Christmas time. Mm-hmm. But sorry, let's let Jason get his words in here too.
Well, give your point because I'm interested in that.
Well, he had this habit of bugging his pursuers by making this annual phone call to them at Christmas time, which was basically hello and nyam, 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 nyam. It was like arrogance, and he was good at getting away with this. Say what you will. Well, what we know is true, what we isn't. But Tom Hanks has this epiphany while he's on the phone with them, and he's like, I know why you call me every year now. Now I know. And I know why you do it at Christmas. You don't have anyone else to call, do you? And he is so devastatingly right, and DiCaprio plays it really well. He doesn't want to give anything away, but his heart is shattered. And, I think that actually hurts probably more than the dad thing. I think he can handle his dad. He loves his dad, but he knows his dad's not going to ask him super hard questions or, ever be a problem for him.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks could very well be the end of his life.
Yeah. The weird timeline of podcasting and when we did the ranks and everything, I have since gone back to watch this.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed it. And then I was, again, and I'll probably be doing this for the rest of my life, questioning my rank. And I went and looked, I'm comfortable with where I placed it there, but I it was a lot better than I remembered. I remember the movie being good, the performances, particularly Walken and somewhat DiCaprio, being great. Tom Hanks, I think everything was well within his range. He was playing kind of like, they give him a few more layers, particularly towards the end. He just feels like he's kind of doing the Tommy Lee Jones role from The Fugitive, and I kept thinking about The Fugitive through this. Like, he just narrowly gets him, and he keeps getting away in more and more absurd ways. And again, thinking about DiCaprio, and was he for real at this time? And it was like within the same month that this and Gangs of New York were released, and he was like, seemed so bland in that Gangs of New York performance, and like Daniel Day-Lewis just like circled around him.
Just ate him.
But this was a much more comfortable role where I think he could bring that youthful energy and the arrogance and all those pieces to this character, and the intelligence too. And I think that's why we end up rooting for him. A couple things that get established, like that divorce scene. And I mean, we're going to be talking about another movie where they sit down and tell the kids, and the way that that's all handled, and how I feel like that's what changes this character according to this version of things. And after that, he's just trying to find ways to, just for his own amusement, and take what his father has kind of generally taught him there. But I really feel like there's a switch in power there. And you're right. After that marriage is done, then, Walken is like a shell of himself. It is one of Christopher Walken's absolute best performances in A+ career. I like him in the one-dimensional monologue, beefy character roles, but this is like, I'm glad Spielberg gave him a fully fleshed out character to play. Like, he was very close to winning a second Academy Award for this performance. And him and DiCaprio, all of their scenes together, and it's not a ton of screen time for Walken, but he makes such good use of it. I'm glad you mentioned, like, this was before Amy Adams really hit big too. And she has a big role in this film, and she is just, her character's the sweetest person of all time,
and she's just used and thrown away.
Like, he sees an opportunity right away, and in some ways he builds her confidence, but then what is she left with afterwards? We don't see her character after, like, he outsmarts the authorities in a kind of a convoluted way there in the Miami airport there. But Jennifer Garner also has an early role. Like, it's kind of a role that she didn't really take on in a lot of her films too, as a sex worker, who he's so naive at that point, he doesn't realize that she is, when they're doing the negotiation on price and all that. But there's so much good stuff in here. I feel like that whole Louisiana sequence, despite the fact that Martin Sheen, who is solid as a rock, is in there, is a little bit off. Like, I just don't buy that character would have believed. Like, there's a bit of this false idea that, he's seen through DiCaprio, and then he doesn't. And it just feels like a cartoon moment. I don't think it was realistic.
He saw doubt and he saw nerves in him, and he read it quite accurately as false.
Yes.
But the thing that he believed, and that was the most important to him, was that this guy legitimately loves my daughter. Mm-hmm. That won him over. Is like, because I think he says something like, people like us are nothing without the women we love. Mm-hmm. Like, you need this love in your life, and it's going to make you better. Joining my family is going to be good for you, and he suspects at the time good for him. And it's heartbreaking, because it's just nothing real about it, And that's another question. What do you feel like Leonardo DiCaprio feels about Amy Adams and Martin Sheen?
I think he sees a way to evade the law, and this is a good cover. Like, can hide in this small Louisiana town and kind of...
But does he seriously think he can keep this up indefinitely?
I think he's prepared to go at any moment. And he's prepared because he has all that cash ready to go, so he can jump out the window. I mean,
that makes him despicable.
Oh, he's a despicable character. Don't get me wrong. I'm not celebrating this guy at all. One other thing, and again, I don't know if I'm, again, being too critical in this. One thing that really put me off in this viewing of it, though, is, do they treat Amy Adams' character's abortion in a very light comedic manner?
I was going to talk about that, because I struggled with both the Martin Sheen and the mother character. I will argue that Frank really did love Amy, like the Amy Adams character. we should actually get her name. Because, Frank wants a family so badly. Because he's lonely. Because he's on the run. But because he's made such a series of bad choices, he will always be on the run unless he's caught. Like, he does look so broken when he realizes he can't go to the Adams character at the airport, and he has to run. Because that's what he wants. He wants to be loved. He wants to be accepted. And the Tom Hanks character figures that out over the phone.
Yeah.
It's the same way that he knows that Frank's not going to run near the end of the movie at the airport. He catches him, in that the pilot's outfit saying, "I'll see you Monday morning at 9." Because he knows that he knows how the Frank character works and how what he really wants is to be loved and accepted.
There's no joy in getting away with stuff anymore.
I'll just mention Brenda Strong is the name of the character that Amy Adams plays.
Okay.
Brenda Strong. Yeah.
I'd forgotten. It's been a while.
He does love her, but because he has the life that he has, he can't fulfill that need. And that's part of the tragedy of that character at that point is the thing that he wants most, he can't have because he's a con artist and a thief and not a very good person.
If he loves her, he doesn't love her enough to be real with her.
No. I mean, he's trying to find a way to get in to be a doctor in this hospital and all that. Like, when he first sees her, like, she's just has no confidence at all. And, he see him, like, distracted by other things. Then he notices her and he sees an opportunity. Like, you see the wheels turning there. I'd love to think if I like this character, this as a human being as much, that he really did feel love in his heart for and wanted this family. And they are, they've got some issues, but they are a little bit more of the family that he wants. But again, I just see him using people left, right, center all throughout.
The nature of his life is constantly reinventing himself as someone else once he's painted into a corner. And there's just no way he's not going to end up getting painted into a corner here. And maybe he did love her, but not more than he loved this life that he was living, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So
did he love it, though? I mean, there was benefits to it, but...
If he loved her, he would have shown up and faced the music.
Yeah, he would have done his time. She loved him. She would have probably visited him in prison, and then, who knows, but...
I mean, like, when he gets caught in France... It's not like, you're not going to take me out alive, like, there's almost relief that he's caught on his face. I mean, he doesn't like prison all that much later when he's, like, half sick, half dead kind of thing, but it's
in France, yeah.
It blows my mind that he ended up working for the FBI.
Yeah.
And if the end credits are true, that he had his own life, including a family, considering what he pulled off. I mean, yes, he's a kid when he did a lot of this stuff, but I just kind of go, is this the movie saying that crime pays?
Yeah.
It kind of does. I know that they use these people who have outsmarted the FBI for years and then put them on the payroll to outsmart the current criminals. Yeah,
but to me, it's like using the Nazi scientists to help figure out the bomb.
I know.
He's a bad dude. He's a bad dude. And the romanticism of this character is a double-edged sword, but it's an incredibly entertaining movie.
And I also, again, do I buy that he escaped the airplane like that too, like late in the film? Like, I get it. You can never box this guy in, but that just felt ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll talk about later on another movie in which it's based on a true story, but there's a bunch of it that is clearly not based on a true story. Yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to say about it?
It's a really good movie, though.
No, I think we covered Cat.
Yeah, not number 4, but it's good.
Yeah, and again, me saying that 4 is too high is just not an insult.
No.
All right, moving to 11th position, and the reason that we are here sitting today, 88.3% for The Fabelmans. Strangely, I also put it in 11th place. I also gave it 88%. You put it in 9th place, and gave it 97%. The critics have it all the way down at 15 with 80.5%. I think why I'm so impressed with The Fabelmans, and we'll get into it when we do a proper full-length review, so I won't go on, but there is no fucking way this movie should have worked at all. I should have just dismissed it as, like, pretentious and stupid. Subsequently, like, Kevin Smith has tried to do his version of this, Fabelmans, with this 420 movie about his own childhood and the things that inspired him to be a filmmaker. And go fuck yourself. Okay? You are not Steven Spielberg.
No,
I
you're not.
say this as a Kevin Smith fan. Fuck you. Okay? You're not Steven Spielberg, and you never will be. But again, he has an ego, Spielberg. Like,
he does, yes.
He will, reference his
not?
own work. Like, he even said in the documentary I watched on Ready Player One, he felt like doing an homage to the 80s would be kind of like doing an homage to himself. And as much as that's a true statement, it's an amazing fucking thing to say out loud. It's an amazing fucking thing to say out loud. So yeah, to be continued, we will review The Fabelmans. But yeah, I have it in 11th place, you have it in 9th place.
Yeah, there were 2 years in a row where the filmmakers successfully, in my view, did a film version of their lives. The other one was kind of the year before with Belfast and Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, that's a good example.
Who made just a great movie. I have a lot of emotional ties to because it feels so much like my family story. Yeah. This one was close to, it was the number 2 film for me, but I thought Spielberg should have won an Academy Award for this. I thought it was kind of gutsy what he did. And the problem was a lot of people took what you said about his ego and that it was self-important, and it started to have a real backlash, which I don't think was fair.
It could have been that.
It
could have been that.
And we'll talk about in the review Michelle Williams' performance. Some people thought it was so over the top, but if you know anything about his mother, I think she probably got it right. So
I don't think he would make a movie. I mean, it's not implicitly about his family, but come on, it's implicitly about his family.
Yes. They're called the Fabelmans, they're the Spielbergs. Yeah. It's him.
Let's table that.
Yep. Okay.
It's top 10 time. Top 10 time.
Wow.
In 10th place at 89.3%, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I have it at 13th place in 85%. You have it in first place at 99%, and the critics have it at 8th place, 83.5%. I'm going to guess that this is a childhood experience for you. Please share it. Here's mine. My dad took me to see E.T. in theaters because they were advertising it that you were a bad parent if you didn't take your kid to see E.T. Like,
really?
It was like it was the.
I don't remember
movie.
that more.
It was the movie of the summer. Everybody was seeing it again and again. It was E.T.
Yes.
And so halfway through the movie, E.T. dies, and I am falling apart.
Yes.
And I'm asking him all of these questions. Was he really dead, Dad? And like, why did you show me this? And even walking out of the theater, even knowing that E.T. came back to life and that he was going back to his home planet, the lasting feeling that I took away from E.T. was that devastating emotional hurt. Spielberg is really good at sort of pulling the heartstrings and, portraying this family. In a lot of ways, watching it this time, I was thinking about, because we talked about Close Encounters. In a weird way, it'd be interesting if it was the same family. Like, the father disappeared, right?
Yeah.
And this is the abandoned leftovers, and somehow a different science fiction adventure then subsequently befalls them. I don't know, like, maybe sentimentally it should be higher on the list, but I feel like E.T. is starting to show its age. I think a lot of the movies that it completely obliterated in the box office at the time.
Oh, The Thing.
The Thing being my personal favorite example, but it's not the only one. It played in theaters for like a year. It was like appalling, but like, I think when all is said and done, The Thing is going to have a larger legacy, not just with me, but with the culture, than E.T. Now, I know this is going to hurt your feelings hearing that because you put it in first place. But I did not find it as wholly accessible as a kid. In fact, I found it kind of confrontational, and I should have left with the upbeat, sort of warm feeling that it wanted me to, but at some level the movie failed me. I didn't feel it anywhere near that as impactfully as I've watched it again many times over my life. But I will also say my children were bored by it. I mean, I don't know what that means, but...
When did they watch it? How old were they?
I'm going to say like 12 and 10.
Yeah, I think it has more impact if you're in single-digit age.
It's a kid's movie for adults. I stand by it. But that's just my opinion. I know you put it in first place, and we're going to review it, but please.
Yeah, your experience is so interesting as far as, like, I mean, they re-released Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and I think that was the first movie I ever saw in a movie theater. And when Snow White dies, I was a mess. And even, like, the end of it, and she's taking... Prince Charming's taking her away from the dwarf. Like, I was so
upset,
bothered by it. Yet I love Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Right.
You know, and I think that's where I'd be, again, a little bit nervous. I'd love to show this to my niece at some point, but she is such an empathetic person already. Like, she feels if a character is sad on screen, she feels the sadness, she cries, whatever. And I could see, that particular moment in the crisis point in the film being very, very difficult for her to take. So I get all that. I wasn't sure. I don't watch this every year. I watch it every once in a while. When I watched it again, it worked on me again, and I just was like, this is number one. I thought it was going to be in the top 5 for sure, or maybe even the top 3, no matter what would happen. Like, I know there's more significant, more serious, perhaps more important movies than E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Also, part of it is to, like, interviews with Spielberg that happened around Schindler's List, and when he's talked about his childhood and some pieces about that, which really related to me, and it became very personal. So, as I talk about that movie, I might get emotional. So we've had those emotional ranks, and this is like one of those ones for me where it's number one because of
I'm
probably
not fighting
beyond
you.
logic on.
I'm not fighting you on the number one. I'm just saying I was surprised.
And I know that's the legacy right now. Is like it outperformed The Thing, and The Thing is the movie that should be remembered more than.
I'm not even saying that it's a bad movie at all. I'm just saying that at the time there was no other movie, and it ate a bunch of other movies.
Yeah, well, and that's what they say about like Schindler's List took all of the air out of. There were a million great movies in 1993, but that entire year was about Schindler's List. So
I also do think that if you're triggered positively or negatively by a movie as a child, it does something.
It has this impact, yeah.
Strangely, my son Tristan, spoilers for Guardians of the Galaxy, kids, but in the original Guardians of the Galaxy, Groot, the tree creature, sacrifices himself for the team. Tristan hates it. Like, we even would try to show him the end credits with Baby Groot dancing, and he's, no. Like, he doesn't like the movie because that happened.
Yes,
like, it's just, he took it personally. And I will concede that maybe I did too, but for the record, I still have it in 13th place. Like, this is not
No.
Review. Okay, let's move on, because we're going to review E.T.
Yes, we will.
In 9th position, at 89.6%, that's 0.3 percentage points higher, Munich. Again, I thought it would be lower on the list. I'm a big fan of it, by the way. I put it in 6th place with 92. You put it in 5th place with 98. And the critics have it in 17th place with 78.5%. This might be the only movie after Chopper that actually made use of the talent within Eric Bana. That guy is an amazing actor who never gets to show it, and it's so frustrating. He is amazing.
Yes.
And this movie has that, like, vibe of the 70s. Like it's shot as if it was made in the 70s. It really has that tactile feel of, like, the Day of the Condor, or one of those classic sort of vintage spy pictures. And it's so morally gray that, like, you're not sure if you should be cheering for anyone, but it is so compellingly watchable and stressful, even though you know the history. Like, wow, like, this sounds condescending, but I feel like it's the most grown-up movie, front to back, that Spielberg's ever made. Like, I love Saving Private Ryan, but there is some simplicity injected into that complex story. And they resist any attempt to simplify or, white hat or black hat anything that goes on in Munich. It is a tough, fantastic thriller. So I'm a fan. 6th place for me.
And it was 5th for me, and 98%. And I watched it again recently because I saw it in theaters, and it really doesn't have the sentimentality of any Spielberg film, like kind of like the stuff his pre-Jaws films. The only moments are well earned, and they rely on Eric Bana's terrific, underrated performance, because I forgot how good he is in this film, where he hears his. Now I'm starting to get. He hears his kid for the very first time, and he just bursts into tears, and like he has been doing these atrocious things, and watching this movie in connection with the world events that have been happening. I think there's a lot of stuff in this movie that can relate to Sadly Now, and that's where my mind went in places. But it is a cold number. There's moments in there the first time I saw it, and it reminds me of like kind of the coldness of The Godfather. It's not as good as The Godfather, but this is a pretty great film that I don't think is treated or remembered as being like one of the 5 Spielberg movies that you would name, but it really is one that should be in there. And it was kind of a gutsy move for him in a way, because he is one of the, like, he didn't change his name. He's been very open about Judaism, and he's a director of Schindler's List, but to do a movie which deals with the grayness of...
It could be interpreted as possibly critical. No, and again, to not pull any punches in that way. And killing someone for vengeance or for any reason is wrong.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who's doing it or why they're doing it. It's wrong. And it's so fucking crazy that that's such a hard lesson to learn.
And then there's like this, it's supposed to be like this objective thing, but then it becomes personal when, somebody on the team dies and they figure out who did it, and they go after that person. And that's the one move that they didn't get approved and they didn't like. But and then what was this all about? Who was this for? And at the where we are at the end of the film, it's it's a cold number, and it's a memorable one, and it's one of his absolute best films.
And again, at the risk of hitting an incredibly sensitive button,
Mm-hmm.
If something really terrible has happened to you, does that make it okay to do that to someone else?
Mm-hmm.
If someone holocausts your culture, do you get to Holocaust back? Because I say no. But apparently that's a controversial hot take. But let's move on.
we don't want this podcast canceled. So
in 8th position at 89.8%, Close Encounters. I put it at 7th place at 91. You have it at 12th place at 93. Critics have it in 9th place at 83. So reasonably close. We reviewed this one on the podcast. And again, it's sort of interesting. Even Spielberg himself said that he has issues with the ending of this movie. And I remember when we reviewed it, I didn't rewatch it because it was relatively fresh from when we'd done it for the podcast. Like, the movie is full of amazing scenes. Like, remember when we were talking about the review, the scene where he first sees the UFO, that's an amazing scene. The scene where they're making all the discoveries in the desert, that's an amazing scene. Yeah. But the whole tapestry somehow together, you could poke holes in it. But it's so full of these amazing Spielberg scenes. And it is such a Spielberg movie.
And he wrote it.
It's his sci-fi epic. And it is so Spielberg, you just gotta respect it. For cracking the top 10, it's probably the most rickety, but it is the most tangibly Spielberg movie maybe he's ever made.
Here's the weird thing where I'm just so stuck on this movie, because I put it controversially as number 2, and I put Fire in the Sky ahead of it when we reviewed it.
Oh, sorry, in our rank.
In our rank, yeah. No, not number 2 for the, but yeah, no, I had it, and then I watched the longer one where like we have the shots inside the spaceship this time around, and in the summer when I watched, because I felt like I needed to watch it again. And I just have a different experience with it every time. And liked it so much more this time than the last time when I had to review it for the traditional rank and review show. So I'm still so puzzled about this one. So it went. I thought it was going to be a bit lower, and it moved up in my rank as a result of it. And I thought to myself, oh, was I wrong? Was I being too picky with it when we reviewed it on the show? Because the stuff that was bothering me in that last one, I don't know if it's because I was watching a different cut of the film or what it was, but some stuff around Richard Dreyfuss and some of his overacting and some of those pieces that didn't bug me as much this time. I just got into like the whole epic vision of it and exactly what Spielberg was feeling about all of the pieces and this desire to be, do something great with your life, and then this chance that this man has. And the climax of the film worked way better, and all of the effects are solid. This is where I have problems with War of the Worlds and movies like that, because how is it like in 1970s he could get more interesting special effects than 30 years later or 25 years later when he does a science fiction film? So I wrestle with this one. Maybe it should be in my top 10. It's not quite in my top 10, but I really, really like it. I dare say close to loving it.
Yeah.
But there's just some hesitation there where, maybe it's technically a better movie than E.T. or whatever, but I don't feel as much as I do with E.T.
Like, I feel you. Like, I watch the same movie on a different day and I react to it differently.
Yeah.
Which I bring it up on the podcast all the time, which can't help but add up to the conclusion that film criticism is bullshit. So let's move on. In seventh place, the first one to crack 90% on the nose, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I have it in 12th position at 85. You have it in 6th position at 97. And the critics agree with you, 6th position at 85.5%. Again, sentimental story. I took my dad to see this movie for, I think it was Father's Day or it was his birthday. For some reason. I paid, is the point. And I was young enough that it was kind of a big deal.
It is, yeah.
He drove us there and I'm pretty sure he bought the popcorn.
But you paid for the tickets.
I bought his tickets, so he fucking owes me. But it was also such a father-son movie. It was so kismet. The only thing that I can compare to when I first found out my at the time girlfriend was pregnant, Lee tried to take my mind off of my troubles by taking me to see the new Pixar movie, Finding Nemo, which is a complete father-son odyssey across the ocean in a room just full of children. Didn't do much but to take my dad to see this movie, maybe that's why in my head canon it was Father's Day. It was just so perfect. It's such a great cinematic memory. The Indiana Jones chasing down the tank with his dad inside it is I guess arguably him getting the Ark in Raiders of the Lost Ark is objectively a better executed series of stunts. But watching that on the big screen with my dad was one of the best experiences I've had in a fucking movie theater. So, yeah, I have strong feelings about Last Crusade. It's funny, though, some people find it, I don't know, maybe because of their love being so strong for Temple of Doom, to be slower paced and lacking compared to the first two. I've never really felt that way, although I was talking shit about Spielberg not being able to handle humor. I think this one has the most humor in it with the most success. And that might have more to do with Sean Connery and Harrison Ford than it does with Spielberg. But when it works, it works. So I talked shit about how he handled comedy in the past. I'm just saying he did a good job.
He can have some comedic moments that work, but not entire full-length wacky comedy.
If you want to challenge yourself, Spielberg, do a balls-out comedy. Show us you can do it.
Oh, I think he'd love to, and he's wanted to for many years. Yeah, but before I became a movie geek, as a little boy.
Did that time exist?
It was a little bit more like pre-teenage that I fully committed over to that religion. I said for a long time this was my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, wow.
And I saw it, I was blown away by it. And one time, my parents couldn't find me in a mall,
and they were doing all calls, and people were looking around. I played hockey, believe it or not, for a year. My hockey coach worked at the mall. They were all looking for me. Where was I? I was sitting in the Zellers watching Indiana Jones.
That's amazing.
And The Last Crusade. and I thought, okay, well, when I watch it now, I'm going to see all of the things that are, the holes in it. Not really. I think this is a true Indiana Jones movie. The opening with River Phoenix, may you rest in peace, playing the young Indiana Jones. And I think that was part of the plan. They were going to do a series of young Indiana Jones movies with River Phoenix, which would have been amazing. And it didn't happen, but that was great. And the build up and introduction to Sean Connery being in this, everything works. We're back after the Nazis again. And I just love the gore and everything that would happen in these movies when they were, they wouldn't hold back on that. That's what I liked about them, is they were kind of, horror adjacent films. Right. Like Temple of Doom was much closer to horror than anything else. I just love what would happen to these villains and these overconfident villains in there. It works so well for me, and maybe I'm overpraising it by having it, at number 6 on my list. But this is one that this is the popcorn entertaining Spielberg stuff that I love and will return to time and time again.
I have it at 12th because I just couldn't find a way to put it higher. But to put it in 12th in this list is in no way.
No, it's not. No. It's tough doing these ranks. Like this was the hardest rank I've ever done for this show.
We're going to move on to 6th place in one of our larger gaps, I think. Jurassic Park, 90.3% overall average. I have it in 2nd place at 95%. You have it in 14th place at 90%. The critics have it in 5th place at 86.5%. And as I said, I think in passing when we talked about The Lost World, there's no way that I can tell somebody listening who didn't see Jurassic Park in the theaters in 1993 the impact of seeing what at the time was photoreal dinosaurs. Like, some of the wide shots look CGI now, but it was amazing. It was pure escapism. The first 5 or 6 times I saw it in the theaters, I wasn't able to have any background noise in my head about how did they achieve this shot, or boy, Jeff Goldblum's really killing it, or blah, 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 blah. No. You just, it's a roller coaster ride of a movie. I feel like it works. A lot of people complain that the first act is too slow. I think it gives us just enough so that we really like these characters, know who they are, so when the maelstrom begins, we can just ride it out to the rest of the movie. The fact that he made this movie the same year that he made Schindler's List makes him one of the greatest fucking filmmakers to ever suck air on this planet.
Yeah.
Period. End of sentence. I have much more repeat value in viewing and watching Jurassic Park. I will watch Jurassic Park 15 times for every one time I will watch Schindler's List.
Yes.
They are very different movies.
Yes, they are.
But I never tire of Jurassic Park. I've showed it to my kids several times. We do movie nights every week, and everybody gets to take turns choosing it. And Jurassic Park movies are very regular.
It's a regular rotation, yeah.
And I don't know, when I think of incredibly memorable, in the theater, I'm watching a game changer and I know it, I can do it with one hand. And Jurassic Park's one of those. I remember Matrix was one of those. I was about halfway through the Matrix in this crowded theater, and I'm like, this is a game-changing action movie. This is some next level shit that I'm witnessing. And it's such a rare experience to know that you're witnessing a piece of history. And that's how I felt when I watched Jurassic Park for the first time. And it's got to be up there. I mean, the only thing competitive on Spielberg's oeuvre would be Jaws, for the movie that I've seen just the most times in my life.
Yeah.
There's movies like Ghostbusters or Ferris Bueller or the first 3 Star Wars movies that would be on that list too. But I've watched this a lot. And if you wanted to stop recording right now and watch Jurassic Park, I would have no problem with that. So, I put it in 2nd place.
Yeah, and weird history with it. And remember, when you're a teenager, your brain isn't fully developed. And I I had this movie that I was champion for that summer called Last Action Hero,
right,
which got destroyed by Jurassic Park. And I don't know why I had this without watching it, this arm's length thing about Jurassic Park, and this sounds like this is super dark, so Spielberg shouldn't be doing dark horror movies like this, because it was getting a reputation as being a horror movie, and it's not really that. It's science fiction. It's scary. Sure. It's just some scary stuff in there for sure. And then I didn't see it for a long time after its release. I didn't see it. Certainly didn't see it at the right time for it, just because I had this whatever. And I remember not being terribly impressed by it. Maybe it was like how I saw it the first time I saw it. Over the years, returned to it, and I actually think it's that opening. I was like, this is brilliant. I read the book too and everything. I tried to make sense of it.
So much better than the book.
But I love all of the signs. Like there's a ton of foreshadowing before everything goes wrong with it. But this is, again, like looking at all of them, if there was only one Jurassic Park movie, it should be this one. Everybody is good. But I remember I always like Jeff Goldblum. Mm-hmm. I like everything that he's doing. This is one of his best film roles, and he's very sneaky. He shows up in these like monster hits, but he's just always kind of the Jeff Goldblum in the background there. But like he's playing a character. He's not just doing the Jeff Goldblum thing in this movie.
Brief time in the 90s where he was in 3 of the top 5 movies of all
Independence
time.
Day was in,
and the first 2 Jurassic Park movies. So.
Yeah, but anyway, all that to say, it took me a while to get there. I am there, but I don't have the sentimental feelings like when you get me emotional talking about E.T. That's what keeps it back for me a little bit. And I think that's maybe a little bit of the Jaws thing as well for me, is that I don't experience it in the same way that you and Lee would have experienced it, where I can watch it and go, that's a very well made movie. But I'm not going, that changed my life. It didn't change my life, but I think it's definitely one of his best summer blockbuster films from somebody who really created the summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
Before Jaws, there wasn't enormous summer movie releases like now there's expected to be every year. So
he created it.
So
he absolutely earned it. So just a footnote, since you mentioned Last Action Hero, I know we're not here to talk about it.
Yeah.
I agree that that's an underrated movie. It was the action movie Scream. The world wasn't ready for it.
It wasn't.
The problem was just that it came out 2 or 3 summers too early.
Yes, I think so. Yep.
It's time for the top 5. And no fights, no scars.
No,
we got a little emotional, but for good reason.
Emotional about War of the Worlds for some reason.
Right. In 5th place with 90.6%, 0.3% higher than Jurassic Park, Minority Report.
Yes.
I put it in 8th place at 91%. You have it in 4th place at 98%. The critics have it in 7th place at 83.54%. Again, the range is reasonably close. You definitely have it the highest of all of this. I like the source material. It came out in the time where I was just growing weary of Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. It was just like my entire life, every summer there was 2 Tom Cruise movies. And it just got to the point where it just got excited. It got hard to get excited about it. Until you realize, well, but this is Minority Report and this is Spielberg, and they are actually going to take a quasi-serious, like, what will the world look like 60 years from now? And they, from a design perspective, tried to take that somewhat seriously. And that is interesting. I think as a result, the movie might age a little bit strangely, like a lot of science fiction movies do. Mm-hmm. But this sort of combines his pure entertainment, like reality spectacles, with the darkness. It's not like Munich level darkness, but like this is not a safe world. This is not a friendly world. The future, this isn't Star Trek future where things are getting better. Like things have changed, but the good and bad things have changed with everything. Like there's just been a constant line of where things are, and that level of crime and corruption just grows with the technology, apparently. It kind of redeemed Tom Cruise for me in a lot of ways, because as much as I would want to be dismissive about a lot of things, he's a really good actor, and he is really, really good in this movie. I have issues with the third act, and I'm not going to bring them up here because it's a noir mystery, and I don't want to like wreck that experience for you. I think that my little that they went there brought it down, but only a few notches. Like, it's still in the top 10. But this is a high favorite of yours, yes?
Yeah, I think it's the best science fiction movie of the century to this point. One of the best movies of the century.
You put it over Arrival? Or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I put over Arrival. Yeah, Arrival kind of left me a little bit, whatever. I think both Spielberg and Cruise had a relationship with Stanley Kubrick. And this is everything that this feels like, for the most part, something that could have been like Kubrick. Way more than AI. And it is paranoid, it is dark, it's got some gross scenes, and also they consulted like some pretty accurate, is not exactly as the world will be the year that it's set, but some of the things that were suggested about like the future are pretty dead on. The marketing.
Yeah.
Take a look at your social media. They're hearing us talking right now. If we start talking about something, it's going to pop up on there. This idea of your eyes will act as a password. Yeah. Your thumbprint will act as a password. There is identity theft that can happen. There are forces and police forces out there that are monitoring what we are doing right now to see if they can stop things ahead of time. It's not quite pre-crime, or they have, and you know, and like using those what are they called, the cognition, who can see to the future to kind of determine this, and that's like really, it's how creepy how it's shot. Samantha Morton. Again, coming off of Sweet and Lowdown.
Colin Farrell, yeah.
And Colin Farrell is great too, but I think Samantha Morton just probably should have been up for an Oscar nomination for this. The reason it's not 100% for me is I think what you're alluding to, which we won't talk about necessarily here, but because it kind of spoils the movie, there is a plot twist at the end which is pretty predictable. And there is a monologue at one point which is pure Steven Spielberg sentimentality, which lowers the quality sort of, but everything else is just so good about this movie.
It's such a thrilling movie.
Peter Stormare is so creepy in that scene with the eyeballs and what they're doing. It's great. I wish more people would see it and remember it and celebrate it. I think it's just one of the best science fiction movies that Steven Spielberg has ever done. And it's ranking very high for me just because
fifth place again to make it fifth place.
And it's my love for it is equal measure why I have such a problem with War of the Worlds.
Right.
Because this was their next science fiction movie right after this. We know what these guys are capable of. It should have been maybe not exactly as good as this because it's different material, but it should have been a decent, passable movie.
I think we're allowed to grade Spielberg on a curve, especially considering what we know.
And Tom Cruise too. When he fails bad. And
in fourth position with 91% on the nose, Jaws. I put it in first place with 95%, which doesn't surprise you. You have it in 11th place with 95%, and the critics have it in 10th place with 82.5%. Mm-hmm. My buddy Matthew Risling, regular contributor to the show, lives in Calgary, and they have a retrospective theater there, and Jaws just had its 50th anniversary, and he saw it there, and he was messaging me afterwards, oh my god, like that is the perfect movie, like it is absolutely immaculate. And I'm like, yes, Matthew, I have been saying
this for years.
For so fucking long. It is an amazing movie. Thank you for noticing 50 years later.
Yeah, it's 50th anniversary. It apparently, for a little while, like it did amazing box office business. Like this 50th anniversary run, right. Like it was, I don't know if it got to number one, but it was in the top box office movies of the year. That's how good it is, and it was the perfect time to release it over the summer. Yeah. So
I took the boys to I don't remember what we were seeing, but they had a trailer for the 50th anniversary of Jaws, and it starts with just the sound of the water, and the dun 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 dun. And I looked over at Tristan, and he had his hands over his ears right away. Just right away, instantly stressed out.
Yeah, best jump scare of any film.
I have a personal fear of sharks, and I think this movie is a big reason why. I remember it was a sleepover or something, small town Alberta. I'm in the single-digit age category, and I watched this movie, and this little kid who is like my age in the movie, like he's in the water, and they're getting these POV shots, but I'm like, you can't fool me, movie. Kids don't die in movies, right? Well, spoiler for Jaws. It's 50 years old. The Kentner boy has a brutal, bloody, screaming, gurgling death, and it traumatized me, and it fascinated me, and it might be responsible for me liking movies. Like, it seems so forbidden and so like, would I be allowed to see this? I remember walking home and being scared. Like, this is small town Alberta. Like, is a shark gonna fall out of the sky or jump out of a lawn and eat me? But like, I honestly couldn't fucking believe what I watched, and as a result, I watched it a lot. Like, there was a time where I would come home from lunch and I would watch basically the last 40 minutes of the movie when they're on the boat, because I could watch that and have time to get back to school in time. And like, I would just eat my food and watch the last act of Jaws every day for fucking weeks.
Wow.
So it's crazy. Like, objectively, technically, has he made better films than this? Yes. But for me, Jaws not only made Spielberg, but it kind of made my love for movies. Like, and yeah, maybe it created the summer movie season, and maybe that is a double-edged sword. But it's an accomplishment that your movie was so incredibly big that it changed movies. Like, come on.
Well, and it let him, when 1941 failed so miserably, it was so good it allowed him another chance, he fully took it with the next two films he did. And I remember for some reason I had multiple times where when I was teaching I showed it, and we have students in the classroom, and these are teenagers, and that nothing scares them and everything, it's old or whatever. Some that jumped out of their desks at the moment where you're supposed to jump. So I was like, it still works. I guess for me it's just not growing up with it. I mean, I saw it probably at a point when I was like, oh, nothing really scares me. It's never scared me. It's an interesting story. I'm also not afraid of sharks, and the water. We've run into this before with these water movies and shark movies that don't work on me as well as they do on you and Lee. So seeing it and there's a couple things in the score I really like, but I think John Williams borrowed quite a bit from Bernard Herrmann's score for Psycho as well. So there is that, but I love that music and everything it does, and the opening, you can't get better than that opening. I mean, it's you can't see this thing from below, which is like dragging you down, and nobody else is around. I mean, not a great idea to go swimming by yourself at any point. But the politics of the town, and like people just not believing Roy Scheider, and Roy Scheider's really good in it. Again, Richard Dreyfuss, this is a great role for him, and he can do all of the Richard Dreyfuss things that he can. It's maybe, and it is his best performance in any one of the three films he did with Spielberg, because somehow he was a little bit more centered, a little bit more in control. But I love when they go out on the ship there, and it's just the speeches, and are there moments where the shark looks a little bit fake? I don't care. I would rather have that shark than the CGI sharks that we have now.
I get so weary of the shark looks bad element.
It doesn't look bad though. It really doesn't.
Tell me who did it better.
Yeah, nobody.
Like,
now they'll do it. They'll do it in a computer now.
Arguably, the shark looks better in The Shallows. 40 years later?
Yeah, so what? 40 years later.
So kiss my ass. But the shark looks pretty goddamn amazing as far as
I would say it looks better in Jaws than The Shallows too. But
two things. This is a pet peeve of mine. In the 50th anniversary, a lot of YouTube people are talking about it. The amount of fucking asshole YouTubers that say Roy Schneider makes me want to tear my face.
No. I said Scheider, right?
You said Scheider. Okay. But So many people say Schneider, and he is an amazing actor in an important historical movie. Let's try to get that right. Can we? He was amazing, and he's so important to the book. The other to the movie working. Pardon me. The other thing is, and I can't take full credit for this. I want to say it was Patrick Willem on YouTube who put this idea in my head, but there's all this talk about Jaws, about how the shark didn't work and how the shark is shitty and how they had to work around the shark and that made it more suspenseful. There's an alternate universe where the shark worked perfectly and Spielberg made the movie he wanted to make, and his career looks nothing like what it is today. It's fascinating to think about that if that shark had worked and done the things that he wanted it to do, the movie would have probably been worse and consequently less successful, which would mean he wouldn't get his blank check for the next movie, which would mean if 1941 took a shit, there would be very serious if the shark worked, Spielberg has no career.
Because we don't see it a lot, and it's scarier what you don't see, and that's my point with Duel. We never see the driver, and that really creeps me out. And the times we don't see the shark, like we see the shark in that one major shot, which is like one of the famous shots from the film, and he does that so well. But it's a psychological as well as a physical threat. Yeah. And that's why I knew it would be your favorite here, and I felt bad having it where it is, but I had to be honest with myself. It doesn't work for me as well as it does for most of the world.
The top and bottom might have been the only easy part of this whole list.
Yes, yeah, I know. Yeah.
Let's keep going. In third place, Saving Private Ryan at 92.6%. I have it in fourth place at 92%. You have it in seventh place at 97%. And the critics put it in second place at 89.75%. And I said it when I reviewed it for the podcast. It starts so amazingly strong that it almost couldn't fail after that first 20 minutes. I will say it does kind of go into familiar sentimental, like this is how you handle a World War II epic in after that first 20 minutes.
Earn it. Yeah.
And yeah, that conversation is kind of weird and problematic for me. But the movie is a spectacular feat of historical filmmaking, and even just for that opening 20 minutes to purely make war absolutely terrifying, not even just like as it itself, but to witness it is terrifying. Like the work of the movie was done 20 minutes into the movie. Like it seems dismissive, but the rest of it almost doesn't matter.
But having your climax at the beginning of it, it's not really the climax, but it's the most exciting, shocking part. I mean, we get that out of our system. There are plenty of battles and much violence to be had in the other 2.5 hours of the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get kind of the criticism. I don't think it's completely right that beyond those 20 minutes or whatever, then the rest of the movie is just kind of not whatever.
I would say
he changed the war movie like he changed the popcorn movie in a way, because then we've seen so many copycats of like this extreme violence. One of my problems with Gladiator winning the Best Picture of the year, it basically ripped off Saving Private Ryan and Braveheart, two much better films, and made it this big self-important but also kind of popcorn movie with all these special effects, and it was terrible. Like this got my attention. It wasn't. I was a big Truman Show, and still am a Truman Show fan. That was to me the best movie of 1998. It wasn't even nominated for Best Picture, but being in the movie theater and experiencing that for the first time was like, I felt like I was on that battlefield. I've since been to those beaches where it happened, and I mean everything, like the look and like everything is just so well done. But I think the pace of the movie works well. It does have those Spielberg moments, and it does have like the introduction of like the next generation of Who's Who actors show up in there.
Now it's his
and Tom
monologue.
Hanks in a rougher than usual role, because he wasn't. I mean, he'd had Philadelphia and Forrest Gump by this point, but he he's a gritty. He's some guy who's seen some stuff in war and is he's having some physical trauma that would show up. Like he's kind of had that shaky hand thing that kind of plays throughout. He's very good. He's not the reason to see it or anything like that. The whole thing is the reason to see it and to bring attention. They're going to have another screening of it around Remembrance Day here. It's good that it's still remembered. I think it's been elevated in some of the critics because it lost out to Shakespeare in Love, and everybody hates Harvey Weinstein, who campaigned against it, and they really feel like this is the Spielberg movie that was ripped off.
But again, I think time has told the tale.
I'm not sure it's his third best movie, but I think it will always be remembered.
And I think time has told the tale as far as Shakespeare in Love. What's being talked about more today, Shakespeare in Love or Saving Private Ryan? Again, I sounded like I was being shitty about the back half of the movie. Mm-hmm. It's great. The first half of the movie, or the first half an hour, is
it's spectacular. It is.
I can't articulate.
But versus
so
I know we're going to shortly talk about Schindler's List. Schindler's List has shocking set piece after shocking set piece after shocking set piece throughout. This one has the most shocking set piece, and then there's some other ones that are shocking enough, but kind of other than that tint, and that's really great cinematography and editing and sound and all that. The rest of it is a little bit more standard, but not bad. I mean, it's a great war film.
In second position, I guess this is probably self-explanatory, at 94.3%, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I have it in third position at 95%. You have it at second place at 99%. Mm-hmm. The critics have it in third place at 89.5%. Raiders of the Lost Ark is so good that even though it has this often pointed out flaw within it, nobody gives a shit. Mm-hmm. It really does feel like, when all is said and done, he could have just followed the arc and not made any attempt to do anything with it, and everything would have played out. There's no active decision or thing that Indy does that actually resolves anything. Even when he chases down the truck and gets the arc, it is almost immediately then taken
away from him. Yeah.
Like, our hero fails spectacularly again and again and again, and then the enemies accidentally get themselves killed, so he wins. And that is a true and accurate sort of descriptor.
But what is he? what is his job?
He's an archaeologist.
And what do archaeologists do?
The item. He's trying to save the Ark of the Covenant.
Archaeologists
should be in a museum.
But archaeologists fail and fail and fail and fail, and then they get something, and then that turns out to actually not be what they think it is, and it's a failure. Like I've heard that criticism before, but I
don't even think it's a criticism. I just think it's an interesting thing to point out.
And I like it.
It also illustrates how it doesn't have to be Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's Raiders of the Lost MacGuffin. Like it doesn't matter what the thing is that he's after. He's after this thing, and there's other people that are after the thing, and he needs to get the thing first, and there's going to be all sorts of complications and fights and funny character beats. The physical stunts. I remember my friend Jeremy showed this to his young son, and he told me, his son said, "Dad, this seems really real." Like, even a child can see these stunt performances, and like, that is not CGI. That is not a stunt double. That is not anything fake. Yeah. Like, that is a real person being dragged by a truck, and it's amazing. It kicked down the door for Raiders of the Lost Ark, and as much as I like to talk shit about George Lucas, this was an amazingly good idea for a series of films.
But he was so much sharper in the 70s and 80s than later on. So.
And he was at least sharp enough to hand over the writing to Lawrence Kasdan and the directing to Steven Spielberg, because otherwise he would have made a garbage movie, because George Lucas is the most overrated filmmaker ever, period, end of sentence. I just don't believe the hype. But with Spielberg I do. And Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of the most pure action movies ever made.
Yeah, it is. And then to me, if we're talking about a lot of summer blockbusters, and
You mentioned we'll stop right now and watch Jurassic Park. If I suggested we do that, that's where I would be with Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, it's I had it as number 2. I had 2 of his kind of blockbusters in 1 and 2, and then a serious one kind of after that. And that was the tough balance in here.
Yeah.
Is it the most important movie he's made or most historically significant? No. But I feel like it is such an entertaining movie, and it takes its time, and the details are there, and it's just a solid screenplay in the midst of a popcorn movie. And I think this is the thing that gets missed with most of these summer blockbusters that try to copy what Spielberg has done. You have to have a good story and a good screenplay, or else it all falls apart. You can't just rely on special effects and tricks for it to become something we talk about 40, 50 years later.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's true of Jaws, it's true of Jurassic Park, it's true of Raiders of the Lost Ark. These are well-written popcorn movies. They have a brain in there as well as all of the other excitement. And it's among the best of like the action set pieces that he comes up with in each of the Indiana Jones movies is spectacular. And that's the thing that consistently it impresses me. And that's where going back to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was so frustrating for me, and maybe it elevates my dislike for it so much because I know how great these other ones are. And for a long time, I thought Raiders was the second best, but then when I went back to see it one time, I was like, this is a near perfect movie. What was I thinking of when I was 9 years old or whatever, 8, 9 years old when I liked the third in the series more.
Also, no disrespect. I mean, I take it back. I guess disrespect to Star Wars fans because I've been talking such hard shit about George Lucas, but a lot of people say, Harrison Ford is Han Solo. He's really good as Han Solo. But Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. That is his quintessential defining role. Yeah. I mean, I love Han Solo too. I'm not really talking shit about Han Solo, but it's Indiana Jones, and I can't really even seriously take seriously the argument against that.
Yeah, I think the thing in Star Wars is that Luke Skywalker is our protagonist. He's a colorful supporting character, and because Harrison Ford is so good, more people were interested in him than Luke Skywalker at points in that original trilogy.
If you're playing Star Wars as a kid, you want to be Han Solo.
You don't want to be Luke. Yeah.
So I guess by math we know what the number 1 movie is.
I'm not surprised.
I guess it's not completely surprising. It wasn't number 1 for either of us. Schindler's List with 95% on the nose hits first place. I have it in 5th place at 92%. You have it in 3rd place at 99%. And unsurprisingly, the critics have it in first place with 93.75%. There's no real argument to be made against the technical achievement and the filmmaking and the importance of the story that's being told. It is an important, necessary, and necessarily unpleasant movie. And unfortunately, I was in high school when this came out, and I was a big movie cinephile, as I keep saying. So there was a new Steven Spielberg movie coming out. I ran out and saw it, and it fucking broke me in half.
Oh, it would.
I was young, and I was not ready. I did not know what I was sitting down to watch. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, they took the school. Everybody in the school went to see Schindler's List. So I'm going round 2, but I'm going in prepared. But I know the people around me are not going to be prepared. And it was like walking out of a funeral service. It was traumatizing to the point that maybe they should have waited. Maybe you need to be an adult to properly handle Schindler's List. But that's why it doesn't just automatically default to first place for me, because I can recognize that it's an important film and that they can't, sugarcoat anything that went on, and that they needed it to be as brutal and visceral as it was. But because it was as brutal and visceral as it was, I find it hard to go back to. Hard to get excited about revisiting it. Does that mean I don't like Schindler's List or that I dismiss it? I should put it in 5th place. That's not terrible. But it's tough.
Well, it's funny how E.T. kind of traumatized you at a different stage, and then this one, whatever, it's 10 years later, Schindler's. I remember for a serious movie, not like a movie about the Holocaust. It took me about 3 times to see it because it was constantly sold out.
Oh wow!
Yeah, before I kept trying to go see it in the movie theater, and I eventually did, and it's amazing. I still kind of stick by this just because I had never seen a movie that was as original as The Piano.
Right.
That year, I would have voted for. I'm one of the only people, and I'll admit it, that I would have voted for The Piano over Schindler's List as Best Picture.
Fought over that.
Yeah, I'm sure we would have, because I had honestly never seen anything quite like The Piano before. Visually, I had not seen anything like Schindler's List, and if I thought that he shouldn't be making a dark movie like Jurassic Park, was some months before that, Jurassic Park is a kindergarten TV show or something like that in comparison to how dark Schindler's List. It does have the sentimentality moment where we have Liam Neeson as Oscar Schindler towards the end, and it's like I could have done more, and he's like grabbing things and all that.
I don't know.
It's earned.
I thought it was earned.
It's much like Munich with those little moments. They're a bit more subtle, I'd say, in Munich.
I gave some shit to the girl in the red jacket when I reviewed it on the podcast.
Yeah.
But again, it was sort of more me looking for some negative things to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was necessary. I thought it was a weird.
It was a story within the story there. I don't know if it was. I mean, I've heard all kinds of reasons why he did that, and we're so used to the black and white. That was a big deal that he shot it in black and white. I'm not sure why it was a big deal, but
I think it was to lessen the violence.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get an NC-17. I've heard that if you wash out.
I think they would have
Saving Private Ryan too. Saving Private Ryan washed out. It was still in color, but washed out.
I do think they would have let him get away with it.
I'm sure he would have.
Give him a PG when he doesn't deserve a PG all the time.
He does that. That was why the post, like, kind of this, milking that down. I didn't quite understand that, but almost like this was a trick of our eye. Like, are we seeing color here? And then we're paying attention to this other stuff is happening, and this one little girl, but what it does later and the impact. I mean, maybe you could argue it's too much. Great screenplay by Steven Zalian, who's a terrific filmmaker as well. Yeah, it's more, it's a great movie. I think he'll be remembered for many films. When the sad day when he dies, I think a lot of people go back to Schindler's List as far as him as a serious filmmaker. And then it sounds dismissive because I did put 2 of his popcorn movies ahead of this. But they'll probably mention E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark as well, and maybe some other ones. But I think I love that he takes risks. This was a big risk. If this hadn't have worked, that could have been the end of his career, because he was not on a hot streak. Jurassic Park, before Jurassic Park and Schindler's List,
Hook,
yeah. And Empire of the Sun. He had Indiana Jones, the third one in there that was a box office hit, but 3 of his last 4 did not change the world.
Yeah.
And then that year changed the world forever for him. And then I think Blank Check Forever. And if he wants to remake Bullet, I'm not sure why he's remaking Bullet, but if he wants to remake Bullet, or if he wants to do whatever he wants, and I'm glad that he's still making films at a high level. I'm not seeing diminishing returns in his output right now.
He's not done. Like I say, there's going to be more Spielberg. This sort of feels like we're doing a career retrospective, but he isn't done. But there was something about the Fabelmans that kind of just reignited my interest in
Me
Spielberg.
Too.
I will say that Schindler's List maybe and arguably is his most important movie, but I don't think it's his best movie. I genuinely don't. But it is important. It's good that he made it. But I value entertainment, and
it's not an entertaining.
It is a grueling, devastating, on purpose and necessarily motion picture, and I respect it. But there's part of me, there's a voice in the back of my mind that says it's almost a cop-out that critics default it to #1 at all times.
I feel like that's what critics do. They'll go for like the one, but I mean,
but I understand.
It wasn't a safe choice at the time. I don't think there was any guarantee as he was working on that this is going to be the movie to completely and totally change his career.
And again, it's a weird thing to say. I think that Jaws is a better movie than Schindler's List. It's a better movie to me. It means more to me. I will watch it more times. I get a lot of entertainment and joy out of it. I can't say any of those things about Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Good enough?
Yeah, good enough.
Movies are dreams that you never forget. Sammy?
The lights change how everything looks. It's hard to find our house.
Ours is the dark house with no lights.
In this family, it's the scientists versus the artists. Sammy's on my team, takes after me.
What kind of movie are we gonna make?
Okay, the reason that we're all here today, the reason that I decided to do this ridiculous rank was The Fabelmans. We've talked about it during the ranks that, like, Spielberg has an ego. He genuinely does. But let's be real, he has earned it. Like, he is one of the world's greatest living filmmakers. I don't think a serious argument could be made against it. But there's something about this type of movie, like the Neil Simon memory play, or you mentioned the Kenneth Branagh one.
Yeah, Belfast.
Belfast.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith has this 420 movie where he's trying to do the same thing. When you're an accomplished filmmaker, but you decide to finally unabashedly make a movie that is about yourself. That requires ego, and it requires, a real careful approach, because it's either going to work or it's going to be embarrassing. I do not think Fabelmans is embarrassing, but what is interesting to me is how little about this movie I believe.
Okay.
Yes, the Fabelmans are the Spielbergs, and yes, it's about his parents' divorce and him falling in love with the art of film, and there are isolated moments that I think did happen in very different ways than is depicted here. But it's so interesting to me that him putting the lens on himself in this way, he still cannot help but romanticize things. Even though he has issues with his old man, he tries to understand his old man. And he, I would argue, over-romanticizes his mom. It is viewed through the lens of memory, his specific memory, and his sort of specific version of these events. So I think there's something about the, in the narrator that you can't count on here, right? Not that he's telling lies, but that he's seeing it from his perspective. And in his head, his mom was really lovely and supportive and artistic, and his dad was kind of cold and distant and wasn't good. He would try, but he just wasn't really good at connecting with his own family. And yes, of course, all of these great things, like him being able to win over a bully through the power of filmmaking, or these points in life where he has someone implicitly tell him, this is an important point in your life and don't let go of your dream. I'm saying it's a movie that probably shouldn't work, and that it almost entirely does. And that it's fascinating to me. It's fascinating that he chose to make this movie and that it was unabashedly about himself. He called it The Fabelmans, but I don't think he was pretending that it was about anything other than his own life. And yeah, I do think it's very saccharine and romanticizing the perspective of his mom. And I think it's kind of cold, and he's trying to explore his dad, but I don't know. I feel like he sort of sides with the whimsy of the mother over the reality of the father. And I was surprised by how affected I was by the story. If I had some complaints upon watching it again, I think it might be a little bit too long. And there are moments that ring true, that make the moments that ring false feel more false because of that. But this is a movie that shouldn't have worked. This is a movie that like took both guts and arrogance to make, and I think he pulls it off. I think he really pulls it off.
Yes.
And look, you've heard me talk shit about David Lynch again and again and again on this broadcast. Here they cast David Lynch as John Ford, and Spielberg's done this before. He likes to cast directors. It's a thing John Landis likes to do too. It's sort of like
Scorsese does it too.
Yeah, it's just like we're putting somebody who was important behind the camera in front of the camera for the sake of interest. And I don't know, we didn't know that we were running out of time to spend with David Lynch, but I think this is almost a better career sign-off for David Lynch than his... Restated, it's certainly a better sign-off for David Lynch's career than his final film, Inland Empire was.
But the last season of Twin Peaks was pretty good.
Okay.
That came
again,
after.
I haven't watched all of that, so I won't say it. I was counting his movies, but yeah, maybe Twin Peaks we'll put them aside. I like The Fabelmans, but this is a movie that is not for me. This is not the typical meal that Larry seeks out and enjoys. So the fact that it connected to me, that I could relate to wanting to be an artist and wanting to be a storyteller, and I really connected to that. And yeah, it's a fairy tale in any other life unless you're Steven Spielberg. But I don't know, I really appreciated it, the warmth of it, and the guts of it. So it gave me the feels, and it made me sort of think about Spielberg and reassess things, and I was trying to think of a good way to start the new season of Rank and Review, and well, here we are. Was your time wasted with The Fabelmans, Mr. Beckmann?
No. I agree with you. I agree with you that it takes bravado to do a movie about you and your journey through art. His family for years had been pressuring him to do a movie about his family. To me, there's dueling narratives in this film. One narrative really works, and that is about the family, and the other one is the Spielberg's journey becoming a filmmaker, which is not as interesting. I mean, I do love the scene with the John Ford character because he's explaining aesthetics to him, the cinematic aesthetics. I have a love-hate relationship with the mother character, the Mitzi Fabelman, but I think the fact that I deeply struggle with her, because I think that's what the movie wants you to do, is how good the writing is, both by Tony Kirshner, but also Michelle Williams. To me, this is a movie about mental illness and the effects it has on a family, because so clearly she does. Like when she buys that monkey, that is such that's something that people who suffer from depression, it's a diversion tactic,
a project. You need a project, because if you stop to think about feelings, shit breaks down.
Yeah, I mean, you feel for her because they keep on referencing, she could have been this brilliant pianist, and that's what she truly loved, and she gave that up to be a mother. I can understand that. Bert, played by Paul Dano, his greatest flaw is he is so obsessed with work that he can't see what's going on with both in his marriage and in his family. That's his greatest sin. And I think he realizes that with the end scene when he sees the photos that his son brings and he sees how happy he is that his best friend and wife is. That's his penance, but man, what a penance. But
well, that's just the thing. What did Paul Dano do that was so wrong, especially in the age this story was told? He's the father. He's the sole provider to the household. He buys them the house. He buys them everything that they have.
He was cheated on.
And he is being cheated on. In fact, when they move, she makes him bring the guy that she's cheating on him with her. And I know she explains to her son that they hadn't acted on that relationship. But I'm sorry, narratively,
emotional affair.
It was you can call it an emotional affair. I just think she's lying. They were clearly together. And the fact that she manipulated her husband to bring her lover with them when they moved, kind of makes her, if not outright villainous, it makes Dano pathetic, and it makes us question her. Does she love her kids? Yes. Does she support her son's artistic venture? Yes. And I feel like through Spielberg's eyes, the fact that she supported him 1,000% in his pursuit of art absolves her of everything else. And I don't think it absolves her entirely for me. The mental illness stuff is definitely part of it, but these are all based on conscious choices that she has made. And Paul Dano feels like he's doing everything according to the times that the father is supposed to do. Yes. And he's not good at expressing his love. I think it's there, but it's so bottled up and locked within him, and he can't match the light of either the wife or the kids. But you can see him trying. There's that camp scene where you can see him trying to show the kids how to build a fire or whatever, and they're all one at a time drawn away by the lure of the energy and the fun that the mother represents. And he's like John Square. I've
seen that before. Like I see fathers who are trying to talk to their kids and something else, in like it subtly hurts. You can't show it, but it subtly hurts you. You know.
And I kind of felt sorry for him, and I don't know. I don't know that Spielberg does enough, right?
I don't know.
His greatest sin is that he's so in his head. Like, he's so in his head, and he's explaining all these, about his job or what the technology he's creating. It is all about him in some ways. So you feel sorry for him, you do, because he loses, I think, the most out of what happens. And yes, the water really gets away with a lot of things. I mean, even that sequence where she's dancing in her nightgown. And
she gets everything she wants. Mm-hmm. She absolutely wins, and he absolutely loses.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he's so obsessed with his job that he can't see what's really going on.
But it's also the technology. Like, I think I have a softer feeling about him too. Like, you both are like me, movie nerds. I don't have kids, but you both have kids. How do you feel like if something you're passionate about and you want to contribute as an interest to your family gets completely ignored?
Yeah.
Right? That's not a nice feeling. Like, and I think part of what is in here is that Spielberg himself is made up of both of these people. That, he's so innovative and so interested in technology and pushing the limits of the medium, which he gets some of that from his father, but he's also an artist, and he will sacrifice personal relationships and all of these things for his art and for whatever the project is. And we see that with both of these flawed characters. I feel like the movie is in a lot more grays than somebody's a villain and somebody isn't a villain,
Well, absolutely. I mean, because life is complex and it's full of nuance.
It's just
that's why
interesting.
I have a love-hate relationship with the mother character, is that because she goes to therapy. She admits that she goes to therapy.
Eventually, she goes to therapy.
She's so emotionally manipulative. I don't even think she realizes it.
No, again, it's not conscious, but Paul Dano's distance isn't conscious either. I think that's why I'm more sympathetic to his character. Of the two of them, he is the one who is being wronged. Yep. And yet he loses everything.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love that last scene.
His greatest flaw is he's on his head. He's all reason. And he is so obsessed with his work. Honestly, like, he loses the marriage when he moves them to Arizona. But I went back and thinking, but if he didn't move to Arizona, what? Him and his best friend and his wife continue the affair? Like, he doesn't win either way. But the marriage was really done.
I don't know if I agree that he's obsessed with work.
No, he's obsessed with
lightning storm, and you're going, "Oh my God, this is so dangerous! What are you doing, woman?"
You keep on saying he's obsessed with his work, and I don't really feel that. Like, I feel like he thinks that, like, that's his job, is to support the family.
It's really that's his role, his job. But he's also really interested in a whole variety of things he's trying to share with his family that seems to be more interested in whatever the colorful thing that mom is doing.
He tries to connect with his son. He tries to guide his son, but his son doesn't listen to him. His son only listens to his mom.
To me, like the performance, and this is the most, like, I'm not a Paul Dano fan. I've had a lot of issues. Like, people really love this guy. This is my favorite. Like, he didn't get as much awards recognition around this time as other people did. He's very good, but that last scene in the end with the panic attack, he makes tea, he calms him down. He said, "Oh, I used to have to do this for your mother." And then if schooling is causing you this, you don't need to do this. And he gets the letter for the Columbia Pictures internship. Oh, that's a beautiful scene and a beautiful last scene for this character. If he was a two-dimensional, like somebody who's fighting his artistic son's dreams, he wouldn't have got him in that camera. He wouldn't have, like, he's just saying, "Could you please do something to cheer up your mom? That's all I ask. If I get you this editing machine." You know, but at the same time, I have a lot of sympathy for the Mitzi character too, because, and we see it kind of through the lens of, like, the young Fabelman, you know, and we're just seeing these moments where seems like she's smiling, but you catch a little bit of a glimpse of her sadness. And I think the first time I saw it, and I had heard a lot of people say Michelle Williams is over the top in this performance. This time I watch it, I completely disagree, because there's these subtle beats in there where you can just see the depression and what that is doing to her. The choices, I don't agree with the choices that she makes all the time. And you're right, I don't think she's aware of how she, in particular, manipulates him. Yeah. Like I think
mental illness, so we can find ways to.
The sisters are kind of embarrassed by her at points when she's dancing, and she's But
I would say
and the son is furious with her. He's the one that confronts her about
once the betrayal is exposed.
With the film.
Once the betrayal is exposed, he makes excuses until he finds out she's cheating on her.
And then
that's the catalyst.
And then he seems to hate her, and then they don't know what's happening, and then that really kind of dramatic scene where she hits him.
Yeah. And I feel like if Paul Dano's character came home, put up a newspaper, and ignored everybody, then you could say he was just
that's not what he's doing at all.
That is not what he was doing.
No.
Look, you've got two characters that are so entrapped in their unhappiness in a lot of ways. The Dano, like the father figure, he's one of those people that is so academically smart that he can't quite connect with the rest of his family, not like the mom can.
He's not comfortable dancing or singing. It's just not in him.
To be an artist,
but he loves what he plays.
And she can't have that she feels trapped and reacts in ways that are very, very frustrating. So they're both really tragic and sad. I would say he's obsessed with his work because he doesn't see the affair at all.
I think we just disagree on that.
Yeah. Moving on, I love this movie. I think he should have won Best Director for it. There was a little bit of look how arrogant Spielberg is. There was a bit of a backlash against him kind of early in the award season. It was successful, then it wasn't towards the end. This was the year of the Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think. It was just, but I do have to say that going back to it, it's not a perfect movie. And there are a couple minutes, like as you said, comedic things are not always his strong suit.
Yeah.
We have kind of the high school sequence, which I think is probably the toughest with the bullies, and you're right, it's all resolved through film and that kind of thing. And I'm not sure I bought all of that.
I'm sure I did not buy it at all.
I also think he gets this Christian girlfriend who is a complete and total cartoon character. I mean, and so I don't, maybe because I was just so much good stuff was happening, I was kind of putting to the side that the first time I saw it, when I was like, oh, I bow down before you, Spielberg. This time it's like, there's a couple things that bring the movie a little bit down to earth. Seth Rogen, I think he's trying. He's a bit distracting in the movie.
I don't know that's entirely his fault.
He's good in that scene where the camera scene, like that's where he was the least, this is all within my range as a kind of funny, charming person type of thing.
I thought it was interesting. In the movie This Is the End, where Seth Rogen plays Seth Rogen,
yes,
he has a line at the party where he says he destroyed any opportunity he had to work with Spielberg after he smoked marijuana in front of him. And then a few years later, he ended up working with Spielberg. I kind of wonder if Spielberg watched that movie or why he chose Seth Rogen. But it is true, because he is Seth Rogen, and I don't think he sucks as an actor, but there's just something very specific about his vibe and his voice. You immediately start thinking about Pineapple Express. And
unfortunately.
Like, Judd Hirsch doesn't take me out. I don't think about Taxi, because...
but Judge Hirsch that was a big performance, too, but I love the energy he brings to the point in the film.
What did you think of The Crazy Uncle? Because that's a very interesting character. There's a character that's had a lot of trauma and has clearly chosen like the role of the artist, and he is seen as an outcast in the family.
Yeah. And that's key to the theme of the film. I think that whole sequence, and Hirsch, I think, delivers it so well in basically 3 scenes. Like, it's a short performance. He got an Oscar nomination. Paul Dano didn't, which is kind of interesting. David Lynch, there could have been an argument for him too, and the same sort of cameo type of a role there. But the idea of, if an artist is not able to create, I think there's a bit of a connection in there suggesting the mental illness becomes worse, and that her depression, because she never was able to pursue her music in quite the way that she could have, but it's also interesting, he's this vagabond guy too. He's not exactly like, nobody becomes as prominent as the boy he's talking to.
Yeah.
But there's this whole thing, well, okay, you have to put your family and your loved ones aside for your art. Has Spielberg done that? He had one unsuccessful marriage, but I don't know if that's true.
I do think the fact that we're talking all about the family drama and very little about the other story about him growing as a filmmaker kind of tells you the problem with the Fabelmans.
Because that's the pretentious part of the movie.
One narrative is very, very good. And
it is, I think.
Not as interesting.
Well, I mean, it's cool that we see how he learned to, make special effects to look at people who were getting shot, and the squid and
the train thing at the beginning, yeah.
But no, I don't believe that he earned the respect of his bully through the power of film. I just fucking don't believe it. It doesn't read credible to me at all. And that scene at the end when he's wandering around the studio lot, looking up, and his future lies before him, and there walks the legend Steven Spielberg. Like, just shooting that, the pretentiousness of it is almost overwhelming. The movie shouldn't work, but it does. And that's what's so fascinating about the Fabelmans.
I think it was a risk, and I'm not sure that I agree that he watered down his family. I mean, it's going to be subjective in some way, but I think he showed some ugly sides to his family that some people might not be comfortable doing.
Yeah.
He had to be in his 70s, I think, to kind of get this film out there.
Yeah. I don't think you make this movie while your parents are alive.
I don't think this is and I don't think this is as good as Belfast.
He was getting pressure from his family, his own family, his brother and sisters, to make this. Look, Spielberg has long tried to understand what went wrong with his mother and dad. If you look at the body of work and the themes of mothers and fathers and divorce, it ranges huge in Spielberg's consciousness.
Oh, of course.
And so this almost seems like it's a catharsis moment for him, saying, this is what it was like for me, both as a Jewish man or boy growing up, but also dealing with my father, the logic, and my mother, the artist. And they're both good and bad things to them.
Yeah.
Or flaws, I would say, not bad. Bad represents, they're so nuanced, and I think it's important to realize, especially even the older I get, that because life is complex and we are full of nuances, it's important to realize that, and that's why I come back to the mother, because I'm going, stop what you're doing, but I understand you, but you're crazy.
But it's because you care about the movie. He's made you have that kind of a reaction, and I'm glad
and that's when I knew that I was digging the movie.
Even though it was kind of in the weakest sequence in the film, I'm glad that it dealt with the anti-Semitism as well.
Oh yeah, it would be very weird to have it not there at all.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
I kind of want to wrap this up. Is there anything else you guys want to say about the Fabelmans before we shut her down?
No, I just think I thought it was a brave film to make, and if I had no other Steven Spielberg films, I'm glad that I have this one. I know that we've got several more to come still, but it's just this is a good time in his career to make this film.
Yeah. So this brings us to the end of the epic Steven Spielberg rank. I thank everyone for their ears and their support of Rank and Review. I know that it's been a little bit of a rocky period. We were offline for a little while there, and all of my numbers have been reset. So I need anything that you guys can do for me to help get some more traction for Rank and Review. Throw a like on Facebook, throw a like on YouTube, whatever service that you're doing your podcasting from, maybe make a mention, say howdy. Just help me get the word out on Rank and Review, because it kind of sucks to be 12 years in, or 11 years in, whatever it is, how many years it's been now, and starting from zero yet again. It's frustrating and demoralizing. But I love the show, I love talking about movies, and every other Wednesday there's going to be more. Please consider listening to the Shelf Shedding Movies show with Jason Dubray, and thank you so much for your ears. I'm just going to take one more quick minute of your time. As a podcaster, if you know podcasters, if you podcast, if you have a friend who podcasts, please dissuade them from using HostGator. I was having a terrible time with them, like regularly raising the fees, and when I asked why they were raising the fees, they would offer to decrease the fees, and then I would say, look, you're offering an honest product at an honest price, or you're not, right? And then they would lock the site and start deleting it. It sounds crazy to say out loud, but I really believe, if not for my card expiring, they would have just continued to steal my money and not try to explain why. And I don't think it's exclusive to HostGator. I think a lot of hosting sites overcharge and take advantage of creators. So please be careful. And step one in being careful, don't do any business with HostGator. This ends the 277th episode of Rank and Review. I'm sorry for that little anti-commercial, but I think, we gave good podcast. I think I deserved it. I think I got away with it. Screw you, HostGator. But big love to Rank and Review listeners. We'll see you every other Wednesday.